Could talk to you for hours, and we stay up all night. And when morning came, we'd make breakfast in bed. I don't know why I threw away what we had. What's wrong with me? I don't know why I threw it all away. A picture of you, 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 a picture of you.
Can somebody come and save me? I just wanna know. I wanna know.
I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red
I could run through the fire.
conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light, I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red, I could, I could, I could, I could,
I could run through the fire.
We are live from Berlin Spandau for another semi-final of the Spring Split playoffs. On one side, we have Riddle, the David who took down JDXL Goliath. On the other side, the Mean Machine, Dusty, who demolished Vanir. So get ready. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be action-packed semi-finals for the Northern League of Legends Championship. My name is Alexander Maya. I'm your host for the day, and I have the pleasure to say that I'm together with Trouble and Initialize. Welcome back.
Woo. Hello, hello, hello. All I have to say is that I've got my mind on the playoff series.
Very good. I just realized that reference was very good. I spent a long time helping with that TikTok, so I'm
Yeah,
very
he
happy
did.
with it.
He did.
But we have to move along. We have more people to announce today. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Returning to the Costas desk. Analyzing is going to be Goldberg alongside with the play-by-play Viper Room. Welcome back.
It's us!
Let me back into the country.
Back.
I don't know
Finally.
why.
Great, yeah, we're
glad.
happy to be here. It's been a little bit too long, and I can't wait to start casting some quality games.
Welcome back, boys. Good luck for the games. I hope you get at least five. Five messy games. That's what we want. As play-by-plays, we want messy games. That's the best. Talking
You
about
got
messy,
five
talking
messy
about
games.
5 games as well. There we go.
Hold.
5 X7 versus Bifrost, and that was a good one.
It was a very tight series, and we've largely praised both teams for being pretty good with their engages, being pretty clean with them. But actually, in this series, both teams were looking for their engages, getting punished on the return. It got very, very close, down to the wire, but it was X7 with the clutch in the end with snipes like that.
And honestly, if you think about this, in the regular season, Bifrost had gone 2-0 into X7. And to be fair, it was all down into details. It was anyone's game. At this point, I think X7 looked superior. Even in the games they lost, there were glimpses where they could have won. And I think it all goes down to that monster that X7 has in the jungle. I think Carol has been playing flawlessly. He's just so consistent in not just getting leads, but knowing how to translate his particular lead into a game winning victory here. And honestly, I felt like, especially in game number 5, when Zoe also got locked in for temp, it was like, okay, these guys are like done playing games. They just want to get Bifrost to pack their laggards and go straight down the low bracket.
Completely that. And let's be real, it wasn't the easiest game to pick in a Zoe. It wasn't the easiest game to play in that in general. We had some issues potentially with the comps, but X7, when it came down to throwing all your chips, taking everything onto the board, the clutch decision-making, the calmness in the most difficult of situations, like Game 5, EMAS on the line, Tempt, Haru stood up. There's a few other words I want to throw in there, but we're on broadcast, so out of yourselves.
And the funny thing is that I feel even though Haru and Tempt really shined, I felt like respectful bans, same as JDXL, right? They banned 3 bans. They got 3 bans versus MC, and now we had 3 AD carry bans versus Audi, because Audi and Duel have been arguably probably one of the best bot lanes we have in the league. So I felt like it's good to see the respect coming from your opponent towards like one particular lane, and then you demolish that lane and you win on the other side of the map.
Strategies.
And this is a signal as well for who knows what happens in the series. You have the best bot lane. Yeah, but you need to pick other champions aside from meta. Now practice, and let's meet up in the finals. This is like a throw of warning. I love that. So before we look into the finals, let's look into the bracket to understand where we are. Today it is Riddle versus Dusty. Riddle took down JDXL. I cannot stress this enough, while Dusty demolished Varnier. This is exactly like the summary of what happened. On the other side, Bifrost versus X7, we just talked about it. So whoever wins today between Riddle and Dusty will face off versus Bifrost, and then versus X7.
Can I just say
Tell me.
a very warm hello to all the Carmine Corp fans.
Oh boy, we're going
That's
there.
not a blue wall.
We go.
That's golden yellow.
Oh boy!
That's not cool at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, get that
I was
right.
not ready for this.
Because the fire starts going.
Spice has been thrown. Okay, so there you
I'm
go.
ready.
Playoffs.
You love
bracket.
spice, no?
I love spicy drinks, and this is spicy. Now, if you want to hype things up, if you want to know what's about to happen, you need to meet the teams. You need to understand what Riddle did until here and what Dusty did as well. So without further ado, I'll toss it to a simple video. Get ready. Just take a look. Take a look.
Absolutely clapped! Get out of your tower! A triple kill for Backlund, sliding forward, and the last one is done! Charm as he's dashing away, and actually they find the turnaround. Kex finds a massive ultimate. Slow Q is popping off, baby! Elif finds the kill, and now Camo will pay the price. Elif gets himself a double kill. Jumps, Slow Q and Kex. It's an absolute slaughter as XL are wiped from the Rift, are wiped from the NLC. The upset of the season.
That has got to be one of the best videos the production has ever done so
Honestly,
far.
can I also give props to Hipre?
That was a nice call.
His freaking calls every single time are spot on, so props to you, Jake.
We like Hip Rain over here.
He's all right.
We do. He's
no,
all
you
right,
got to
yeah.
be careful. The ego gets
Not
a
a
bit
lot.
big if we keep praising. You
Can't
got to
give
keep
him too
no,
much
exactly.
ego.
So
Yeah.
this is it. This is who you're getting.
Okay, now, we should dive into these teams. We have Riddle, we have Dusty, but I want to throw in a spicy challenge. Oh, I like spicy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys pick one team.
Riddle.
Oh,
There we go.
all right. So you want to lose? That's fine.
So you'll have to demonstrate and tell us why Riddle is going to win today.
Oh, that's easy, baby. You
And then
guys
it's
can-
on
Gonna be
you,
there a
okay?
while.
Initialize. So we'll step
Okay,
away.
That's very easy.
Take it away.
All right, let's go. So, Riddle was not the favorites from the very beginning because we kept saying that their team is very inconsistent and they would need one person to pop off in terms for somebody to carry the game. That was not the case because the second playoffs happened. The 5-cylinder machine started rolling, baby. Everyone from top to bottom. Kex, I've never seen him more consistent. Slog, you clapping Eminence, arguably the best miner we had in the NLC in the regular split. And also, I think I have to give huge props to this 1 versus 9 gold mode machine main character in the jungle, because I feel like MC absolutely stepped above and beyond to carry the game. And even though he wasn't alone, I feel like he was indeed the main character because he did shine. Now, if you can see some of his stats, so I can back up what I'm saying here, would be really lovely. Thank you very much, production. 81.4% kill participation. This guy took the lead, he stayed in the lead. As you can see here, CSD, gold difference, XP difference at 15, always ahead every single time of Dan. And honestly, we're talking about a team that we had no expectations, guys, against. And they went against XL, who has made EU Masters Finals with 2 ex-LEC players in the team. And honestly, I think they did pretty well. And versus Dusty, who Viking was like, you know what? We might wake up on a good day. Man, I don't care about which side of the pillow you wake up on, because if Riddle shows up like this, there's no chance.
Let's be real, he's waking up in the grave because Dusty's going to crush him. It's not happening.
Oh, okay. Before we go into Dusty, well, let's wrap it up with Riddle. Yeah, tell me.
Go on. You want to tell me something about Viking or what?
Well, I mean, let's be real. It's like you've got 5 cylinders firing for the side of Riddle, but horsepower from the side of Viking.
Horsepower? Wait. Production? Horsepower? Yeah. You talking about Hecarim?
I am.
Oh, I think we play this, don't we? Yeah.
I thought you were like...
Give me, yeah, there it is. You want Hecarim? We play that. You want Listen? We play that. But you know what you don't play? What MC makes look good this season, which actually is not the best, is AP junglers. And he actually makes them sound and makes them look really good. Nidalee, 99% ban, 1 time only unbanned versus Nuriki, look, Face the Wrath, Rumble, and Diana. I feel like this guy has so much in the tank that it's just so difficult to shut him down.
He is, but let's be real, he has to rely on those off-meta picks because Viking's going to smash him on everything else.
But it's not only the jungle. It's not only the jungle, let's be honest. The entire Riddle effect of playoffs is showing up as well. And Dusty need to be a little bit afraid of that. But today, I didn't have the pleasure to talk with the coaches. I switched it over.
Ooh.
This day, I got
the
the pleasure to
1v9
talk...
God Machine carry
Exactly.
extraordinaire?
I got the
Main
pleasure
character.
to talk with the junglers to understand what the match is about and what's about to happen. So without further ado, let's meet MC.
Finally, I get the pleasure to meet MC, and last time I met your coach, he told me we're not going out yet, and it was a banger versus JDXL. You guys defeated one of the most feared teams, and it's a pleasure to have you on the interview. So, first of all, hello, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Okay, now you have to face Dusty. They're hungry, they want to face you, but my question is, what is the difference between Riddle during the regular split and Riddle during playoffs?
I felt like on some matches on regular season, we might have like disrespected the enemy because maybe we thought they were like worse or we didn't have much to lose in the regular season because all we had to do was make playoffs.
Okay.
But I feel like in playoffs, if you lose the best of 5, your split is over. So I feel like we're playing with more passion. That's the big difference.
Okay, it seemed like you guys had a lot of passion. And by the way, I don't know if you know this. We don't know what MC stands for, but in the desk, we're calling you the main character effect, like the anime. I don't know if that's what it stands for, but now it is.
I like it.
And
most of the time I've been called Minecraft or
Minecrafter.
Yeah.
No, you're the
I'm
main
happy with
character now. Okay.
I'm happy with this.
And now you have to face Viking, which is also a hungry jungler. He's really aggressive as well. You are aggressive as well. Do you think this is the lane to watch as we jump into this best of 5?
I think the most exciting one would probably be jungle and mid, honestly, because Backland has a similar playstyle to Slowkey or like similar shampoo. So I want to see how that goes in mid, but yeah, Viking looked really good against Veneer, and like they stomped the 3 games. So I'm just happy to play against them.
They were doing speed run any percentage. Are you afraid of the Viking aggressiveness in the beginning of the game?
Not really. Like, I'm only afraid of the Rek'Sai pick, but the rest, I'm fine with. I'm fine playing against.
Like, he plays the Rek'Sai, which is unconventional jungler, but you also play unconventional picks. The Nida, the Rumble, even the Diana without the Yasuo. You bring a lot of AP into the jungle. Can we expect something different this game? Did we see all the champions that you play, or are you still holding a card up the sleeve?
Maybe there's more, but I think for the most part, I have like a lot of champs, so I'm comfortable even if they ban. Like, I still have more to play. So yeah, I'm fine.
And that's something that GDXL did a lot during the games you played. They focused so much in your champion pool. And my question to you is it worthy banning or trying to ban your champion pool, like getting 5 bans and allowing your team to get their preferred picks?
I think the Nidalee ban is like, okay, it's understandable. Hecarim, you might not want to give Hecarim because he's like super strong. But then like you can't really ban everything, you know? So like Lee is gonna be open, there's Sinzao, there's Rumble, Diana, like you can't ban everything. So I think ban the Nidalee if you don't want Hecarim, sure, but if you want to ban everything, try it. I'm more than happy.
You're just wasting bans away because you have a
exactly.
big champion pool, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
How can Riddle win versus Dusty in this best of 5? Tell me, how can you guys approach this best of 5?
I think if we get Slowkey into a good matchup, top is like, I think we're fine. Kicks is pretty good in that matchup. I think both will also hold their weight. If me and Slowkey, play as good as we did, I think it should be fine. Because the ring condition is, Viking and backland. So yeah, I think that's how we win.
And Riddle confidence is rocketing right now. Let's be honest. You guys are really confident. Is this the miracle run for Riddle? Are you guys taking the last seed into playoffs and then going into EU Masters? How are you feeling about this? Come on, tell me.
There's like a big shot because honestly we thought we would play Bifrost in the first round, and then XL would be like the hard part. Like they would gatekeep us into like going to finals and EU Masters. But since they became third, like we played them at the first round, so it's more realistic that we can make EU Masters and finals. But the thing we need to do is not be cocky, because we did this last split. We beat XL, and then we lost to Singularity, like a much worse team, right? So it's try to play as good as we played, and hopefully win it.
Final question. It's an easy one. At the end of the day, what do you think the score will be between Riddle and Dusty?
3-0 for Riddle.
The confidence! Let's get it rolling. There you go. The main character is talking about this. So best of luck, MC. And I hope to see what's happening today, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know what?
Tell me.
You know what?
I love him.
First of all, major respect to him, because it's like, we're just going to 3-0. What they did to Vanir, we're going to do to them so they can taste their own revenge,
That's cocky.
But I think one of the most important things is that he thought that XL were already going to go to EU Masters and wait in the finals, and that X7 were going to be dropped into the lower bracket, and that this was the team that was going to gatekeep them from getting into EU Masters. So the team that they already thought was going to be waiting the grand finals, they beat 3-1 quite convincingly.
Imagine the confidence they're having right now,
Yeah.
because I've been talking with most players and coaches, and everybody thought JDXL would be in the finals. So taking down
JDXL included.
Yeah, JDXL. Oh yeah. But with this, Riddle are feeling the effect of Riddle. Like the 3-0 could happen for both teams.
I mean, playoff buff. Like, this team looked nothing like what we expected them to be like, right? They came in and people were performing way above the standard. It's a Riddle story. Like they do it split on split on split, where they just turn up for playoffs and are way better.
Okay, but now can we talk about, we always talk about this, mid-jungle effect. We have to watch it, but then we also have the bot lane we cannot deny, which means top laners are never talked about.
Yeah.
It's a sad lane.
So, I think it's pretty similar. For like A-Leaf is bringing out, the Gragas, the more tanky stuff. He has the Aatrox up there as well. But I feel like Kex has a more diverse pool. Yeah. He's brought out the Shen as well. He brings things that will complement the team a lot. And I felt like Kex has looked like the most consistent top laner in the playoffs run. Because I thought that top laner would be Shikari, but I don't think Shikari lived up to his standards last time.
Enough with Riddle. Let's look into Dusty. So now it's your opportunity to talk about Dusty.
I don't need to try, because I've already won this.
Oh man, he's so confident.
Ashes to ashes.
If you play like that.
Riddle or dust, get off the stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, everyone else in between. Listen well, and behold the horsemen of the apocalypse. Hecarim, Rel, yes, they're known for these champions, but they're just so good. We talked about jungle mid being really important, but I would also caveat that jungle support and roaming and controlling the jungle is even more important, and that's kind of partly for me why Riddle beat XL. They managed to outdo Dan and Kikis, two of the best people at doing it. Problem is, they're going against these guys who not only took Veneer apart, they did it in incredibly quick fashion. They nearly had a dancing Herald. When you've got that kind of playmaking and you can match it against someone else's strengths, they're gonna struggle. Then you look down to the mid lane and you realize Backlund's back. All right, sing along if you know the words, and he has been back on form. He's off what we were kind of saying, yeah, he's struggling on some of his control mages. He's back to comfort. Things like the Akali look absolutely devastating. But last and not least, oh my lord, Venza has gone from 0 to hero production. May we have the comparison stats, because his transformation from the earlier parts of the split is just unreal. 10th KDA, 9th kill participation, okay damage per minute, but nothing special. And then you look at this, and you realize what this turnaround has made for the side of Dusty is just incredible. He demolished Veneer. It was not close. Caitlyn and the like. When you can run comps like that and destroy people, there's nothing more to write home about. You had to play against Zamalek, did Riddle. He was normally left to weak side. Now you got to play against this. Now you got to play against FGG. Now you got to play against Venza. You are done.
We gotta give it to him because MC characters development has been good, but Venza as well.
I think, so
Anime versus
Venza
anime.
actually tagged me on a tweet and he was like, oh, Troubling, is that what you were talking about? And he had actually photoshopped the assassin emblem from TFT when he was playing the Kai'Sa. But like this time it was correct with the Kai'Sa, you know? Like back at the start of the split when he was playing Aphelios and suddenly he was finding himself at the back of the
Some of those Xayah plays were not good.
You know what? Honestly, I was like, not baffled, I was surprised. Because I'm like, how do you do that? Are you a magician? How do you get an Aphelios at the back of the fight? Like, how?
Flash Gale Force every time. Let's go.
Development the teams have been having throughout the entire split. And we talked with Dusty a lot of times, and the idea that they were struggling at the beginning of the split, but now they're a different team, just like Riddle. So it's the clash of the Titans. But what is the core strength of Dust? You've talked about that, but give me your take as well.
Here's the thing. Both these teams, I'm not entirely sure, for all that I've been hyping up Dusty and will continue to do so because that's my job today. The difficulty is they both went against teams and we didn't have necessarily the expectations that we got out of those games. Like, we expected Dusty to be good, but we thought it would be a close series. We thought XL would smash Riddle. Neither of those things were true. And that means coming into this series, it's difficult to know what level they're at and how they're going to match up because the level up into playoffs has been so extreme.
So I feel when it comes to like these two teams clashing, it has to be about mid-juggle pressure.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, Nukes roams, FTG roams a lot as well. I think he's one of the most roaming supports that we have, but I think it's all about Buckland versus Slowq and Viking versus MC. I think MC, the way that he was able to generate pressure that was given by Slowq holding down Eminence, I think is what completely destroyed the plan for XL to the point where they had to ban 3 junglers. And also if we think start of the split Dusty, it was all about Viking, start to finish. The plays he was creating, the pressure he was making, the way he was translating these victories into his side lane so they can snowball as well. I think they play a very, very, very similar play style. And even though the hyper carries will come into play at some point, I feel like the mid-jungle duos are going to clash.
If we're talking about jungler, we talk with MC, so obviously we have to look to the other side where Viking had a little conversation with me to understand why Dusty are going to win. Take a look.
The duel between the most hungry junglers will begin shortly. Riddle versus Dusty. And I got Viking for another interview. You cannot get rid of me, man. Welcome back.
Thank you, man. Hello, hello.
Okay, Dusty's performance versus Varnier was amazing. You guys have been improving each week. What is the secret recipe for Dusty's improvement so far?
I mean, we have pretty good team environment. I put a lot of effort and everyone else too. We put a lot of effort outside of the game, I think. And maybe that's a big difference from other teams. Maybe some people just do things in game, but put a lot of effort into like drafts and other stuff. And not sure if other teams do it as much. And I think I am good at it as well.
Do you believe Dusty has reached the peak, or you still have more room to grow?
I mean, there's many things we can improve on, and no. I mean, the level is not crazy. We need to, because I want to go in Masters, and I think we have a really good chance of that. As XL lost to Riddle as well, and I think that the jungler is good mechanically in enemy team, and I think we have a good chance of winning today.
We get to talk a lot about in a good day, Dusty will win pretty much every single team. You guys have demonstrated that so far. My question is, it seems like Dusty is a momentum team, and Riddle is a momentum team as well. They proved that versus JDXL. You, a player with a lot of confidence, a lot of experience as well, and as a jungler who mostly dictates where the game goes, where do you believe the viewers should be looking throughout this battle?
I mean, I think bot lane will be a show. It can be both ways maybe, but I think my bot lane is. My bot lane is better. It's just my bot lane is for sure better, and I just think the real is like maybe it will be jungle too, but I think it will come down to team fights a lot. But we will see. Can be anything.
MC plays a lot of AP champions. You obviously look forward more those AD champions, the Rek'Sai, you know, the cheese at the beginning of the game. What do you believe he's going to pick? Are you guys going to focus this champion pool, or you guys are going to ignore that because he has a lot of champions?
I mean, Nidalee will obviously be banned,
Okay.
and what's called not really much than that. He can pick his rumble. Like he's good on his champions. It's just how the drafts goes out, you know. I think draft is very important, and what's called he's good mechanically on most champions, but I think his best by far is Nidalee, and I think in the XL series, XL just played bad, and what's called the jungler played good. I think MC is very good mechanically, but I'm not sure about the other stuff.
So now that we know that you're confident going into that match, they're confident that probably you get a really good shot at EU Masters. How can Dusty win versus Riddle? Where do you think you're going to excel?
Have a good draft and just play normal, and I think we'll win. If we play better than that, we'll probably have a really, similar versus Vanir. But I think if they play good and we play good, it will come down to team fights. But we will see.
And you were talking about EU Masters and the way that the team is now looking at EU Masters. You guys feel comfortable that you can reach EU Masters? And when you get to EU Masters, or if, how do you feel your chances are versus the rest of the entire Europe?
I think that we have extremely high chances to go to EU Masters now. And I think that if you remove the first week where we went 0-3, I think we probably have we would have been first place, I think, or like with the others, you know, if we ignore those first 3 games, you know, through how many wins and losses we had. And I think we're on a really good momentum, and we have good atmosphere in the team. Me and Backlund are like super good friends, like long time, and Alif is an ex-guy. Like everyone is really nice guys, and it's really important that they have good team atmosphere. I don't know how it is in other teams, like in the league, but I think we have really good atmosphere. And I think in Europe, that's why I say we need to improve, because to win versus X7, we need a bit better macro, and if we would go to the final. And I think that to go further in EU Masters, we need better macro in general as a team.
There's still time to work around that, but before that, you have to defeat Riddle. And best of luck on that matchup. It's going to be a bloody as well, and I hope to see like big fights in the general. So thank you so much for the interview, Viking, and good luck for the games.
Thank you.
Team atmosphere. When you know you're friends with your entire team and you feel comfortable, it doesn't matter if you woke up on the cold side of the pillow or the warm one.
He might get his
Yeah.
might get his wish, by the way, because he said, "I want to see jungle fights."
Yes,
Might get your
I know.
wish.
That's what I want. It's gonna happen. You know it. I mean, like on top of that as well, I really rated. Obviously, you know, we said the jungles could be pretty important, but I also liked he called out, look, our bot lane's been just smashing it, and they did.
Yeah.
Like Venza,
Yeah.
we talked about Venza, but I really want to praise FGG as well. This guy, I was casting him this time last year in the UKEL, like tier 3, way down at the bottom. There's new players come in, and you can see the learning curve. He's gone from being a little bit uncertain, not sure where he's going, and he's gone to being bluntly one of our best engaged supports in the whole damn league. He's done so much to glow up, and I'm really excited to see what he can do now in this series as well.
You brought in the idea that they want to win versus Riddle in team fights. And when you have someone like FGG, I mean, you got a plus on that. So who knows what's going to happen. So that's why I want to bring in the predictions, because we think we know, but we never know. There we go. A lot of Dusty, a few Riddle. And let me see if something is popping up.
Or is it?
No, actually, no. Goldberg for the first time.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, he's gone. That's fine. That's good.
Oh, thank God.
He would have voted Astralis, and you know it.
He legit has cursed every single one. He goes to a social media manager and says, copy Trouble's prediction. He literally ruins all of them, okay?
Oh no, I've got the same predictions as him. I'm in trouble.
Oh, you are?
Nobody believes it's going to be a 3-0. For the first time during playoffs, nobody believes in this.
For the viewers' sake,
Yes.
because of how good these teams are playing the game, how aggressive they are, and how explosive they both are. I really hope my prediction doesn't come true either. I really hope we go all 5.
3-2, yeah. Another, how did you say? Yeah, Bifrost versus X7 game, but this time with Riddle versus Dusty.
Seriously, I genuinely think this is one of the hardest series to call because it's so difficult to know of one series where they did step up, what the level is. Are they going up? Are they going down? I don't know.
We cannot wait more. We need to jump into game. We need to jump into Champion Select. So before we do that, we gotta go to the desk and we need some light show. Welcome back to the desk. We have the Champion Select for Riddle versus Dusty. I hope you guys can see
I'm
it.
leaning over here at the
There you go. I cannot see it, so let's see what happens.
What a surprise. They can read, well, they can't read, but they can sort of like just being rude is what they're being.
So Nidalee will be banned. There you go.
Sorry, can I start here? Because he said, we're going to ban the Nidalee, but we don't care about anything else, really.
And then Diana.
Already banned 2 of MC's champions.
What I'll say is, at least because Riddle are on red side, you could Diana Yasuo 1-2. And I can understand, like, just get rid of one of the half, the dangerous half of that combo, knowing that MC plays as well. Tom Kench away from nukes, I like it. I mean, the Rel away from FGG is such a big
I think Hecarim needs to be banned right
Yeah,
now.
that's the first pick, otherwise, there you go.
Yeah, MC said it as well. It's extremely dangerous. Viking has spotted the Hecarim. And right now, you've got the Xin Zhao, you've got the Lee Sin. You get to pick whatever you want, right? At this point,
Jinx,
Ryze,
let's get traded.
Ryze is also open at this point. You can B1 Jinx.
Yeah.
It's the typical for the NLC right now.
It's across the world as well. I still call back to those LPL stats, right? Where they say, like, look, Jinx has been played like 70 more games than any other AD carry. Like, flat out. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Jin okay, Fadichan. Does that mean we're
That's a
going
Rumble.
to use
That's a
Rumble?
Rumble.
There
That's
it
a
is.
Rumble.
Jin Rumble, so good.
Every time Fadichan locks in Jin, you know it's a Rumble in the jungle, baby. Now it's getting exciting because you can lock in Jarvan into the Rumble, lock him in, kill him really quickly.
We were talking
right?
about that,
We were
yeah.
talking about that as well. Viking does play a lot of Jarvan. If you want to, you can go with the more traditional, Xin Zhao to play the fights later on. The Volibear doesn't lose to pretty much any champion in the game, in the trades and the fights. So I think Viking is pretty good. I think even if you don't pick jungler here, you're pretty good to choose your matchup later on in the draft because not everything can be banned out.
I think Nautilus makes a lot of sense for FGG as well. It's another champion he feels pretty comfortable on, easy engaged. Also, Jin, Rumble, if you can get close enough for a depth charge, they're going to have a nasty time of it. You add in the volley there as well. You can try and dive beyond their active range, even if they are quite long range to begin with. You can close the distance pretty well.
And also they take it away from Nukes because Nukes played Nautilus together with the Rumble. And I think that duo was absolutely deadly because you can CC somebody for so long that the carpet will burn all of your HP off. So that was a really good shout right there. I'm wondering maybe we can see something like a Leona maybe locked in together with the...
You got AP? You put AD in the mid.
You Aurelia.
Oh, this is going to be good.
I mean, both teams, I feel Dusty's a bit more meta, inverted commas, but it's still pretty comfort for them. That Riddle, that's just pure comfort.
You know what? I'm getting very jealous of these guys sitting behind the caster desk right now.
It should be a banger.
We talked about this. It's going to be a banger. We are hoping for at least 5 games. And there we go. Now you have to focus on the mid lane. Obviously, Vex would be annoying to play without Elia, so you got to take it away.
I'm thinking also maybe LeBlanc, because Backlands LeBlanc has been very dangerous. His Akali has also been very dangerous. So take out maybe one of the 2 assassins that Backland might want to play mid. Also, you can maybe take the Akali and put it top yourself. Not the best together with the Rumble. I'm expecting something maybe like the Shen even, because it's worked really well for
true. Like, Kekta has like that. The only thing I'll say is there is still a world where that Aurelia does get flex. While I'm pretty much assuming it's Loki, there is like the draft possibility there, and it is playoffs. So there's- I know.
99.99999%
There's
a slim chance.
But it does mean that like this is playoffs. People often do this where you say, okay, well it's been slow queue out through that whole season. He's famous for it, but you can definitely look to make things difficult there. And there's the
There you
LeBlanc
go.
ban. I like that a lot, as you said. And now maybe a Shen ban here, honestly. Another one of those kind of weak side, affect the map top laners.
And
Nah
also-
might not be bad either.
Yeah, and also like you take out the chance to be affected on the other side of the map from globals, right? Because when you have a Jinx lane together with an Nautilus, you usually want to shove it in really early. And then if you have these globals, we've seen what's happened to Dusty, like in the regular split, where they had a Gangplank ruin their plans completely. So I wouldn't blame them here if they take something even like
Okay.
the Ornn or the Karma. Okay, the Karma.
So Kecht has taken that top and did so to kind of surprise Excel, actually, in a way that they weren't necessarily expecting. Them up for the Tryndamere into it. It really didn't work in the long run. So I now question what does he want to go for here? I mean, there's Ornn, there's Set was not what I was expecting. That could well be
I
support.
love that. I love that.
Yes.
Set is the traditional reply into the Volibear. Volibear is a champion that loves building HP. His HP bar is already pretty high to begin with. So
Thank you for the nuke.
So the second he dives in, you just grab him, you throw him back out. It's just a traditional reply to Volibear, and I really like the fact that Kecht is actually able to pull it out. Now I'm saying Kecht, obviously it is also a flex. We have seen it
Yes,
before.
there you go.
It works into the Nautilus as well. So I don't know if they want to do that
There it
or they're
is.
just waiting to see like the last two picks from the sort of Dusty to see if they want to lock in something like a Leona in the mix, right? But Backland, we talked about his LeBlanc, we talked about his Akali. Not both could be banned out here, so he's going to resort to the other one. And A-Leafs, Ornn, Gragas, or Aatrox, all three for him to choose from.
We had segments specifically for the Gragas of Aelif. It makes sense if he picks it, but none is available as well. And this is a naughty pick into the top lane. It can deal with mostly anything, and there you go. On the other side, now we can finally see where Seth is going to be.
Thing is, you can swap the Aurelia top now.
You can.
Put the set
That's what I'm-
support.
Well,
Because Aurelia smashes mini enough.
it's a horrible.
and then you put set down in the bot lane, and then
But
you
even
get
in
a
the mid?
pretty
Okay.
or in the mid, yeah.
Like this is a standard hover for this team, so I'm gonna
I
wait until I see
know.
it locked in. Now would be the time to do it.
Love that, love
Malphite
that.
makes a lot more sense. That is a lot of like between Set and Malphite, you have got ways to go in. You've got the Jhin and the Rumble who can follow up from range with the artillery. Aurelia gets to dive over the burning corpses that are left. You see how Riddle's comp plays. The only thing I'll say is like Jinx and then the Akali. There we go. Took me a second. Like that's Dusty Comfort 101 there. So they've got very standard. They can definitely play this if those champions get fed.
I just really like the fact that they have Jhin here because Akali should technically never be able to reach Jhin. You've got 4 players that want to play in your face. I think Akali's target right here will most likely be the Rumble. Try to get MC out of the
That's
picture
fair.
real quickly. You open the curtain call, and then if somebody doesn't die in the equalizer, MC is
We'll finish
screwed.
it off.
Yeah.
Before we jump into game, predictions. Who do you think is going to win? For you, initialize to start off. Gotta be fast.
I think it's Riddle's comp I prefer personally.
What about you?
It's MC Rumble, baby.
Okay, so 2 for I would say, without further ado, let's toss it to the casters. Viper alongside Goldberg. Let's kick this action.
Well, I mean, I just heard what the casters have predicted. I think that we're on a different page to them.
Are we though?
Well, why don't you... Okay, so they...
Okay, no. Go on, yeah.
But Dusty's composition...
Honestly, I kind of agree with you to some extent here because I'm looking at the composition. As soon as I saw the Aurelia get locked in, I was explaining to you as well that has to be Akali. Backland currently 100% win rate on the champion. I think there's loads of possibilities to find early action in this game from the mid lane, specifically because we're looking at 2 champions that quite often find kill pressure at level 6. But in this matchup, you can find it pre-6 as well, and then it's going to be influenced by the junglers. Volibear coming in, disabling the tower, or the synergy as well from MC, trying to come in long range with the Rumble. There's a lot of different intricacies and different matchups to take a look at in this game.
I mean, we'll have plenty of time to go into all of that. Nice sky here in Summoner's Rift for our first game of the day. Of course, best of 5. One thing I wondered, though, as we see people queuing up on the top side, Riddle, just waiting to see if anything's going to happen, are Crosby saying we should be getting at least 5 games? How do we get more than 5 games?
Well, we need more of this because this is something that goes back and forth and might very well come down to execution. So I think this is good so far, and I love it because I know we're going to be getting more adaptive responses in draft pick. The further we move into the game, it might be that now Backland is going to be completely popping off on the Akali. That might be an issue for them later down the line, and therefore they decide to ban it, or vice versa with slow Q's Aurelia, which, I mean, slow Q as a player In regular season, barely visible. Made a lot of basic mistakes, super inconsistent. Slowpew, now towards playoffs, a completely different beast. We saw what he did against M&S. M&S, who by many was regarded the best mid laner in the league. So Riddle, definitely a scary playoff form they've obtained so far.
Absolutely, definitely been the giant killers. David versus Goliath has been the storyline that we've been talking about with this team. But of course, Dusty, also we heard from the interview, they want to be getting down towards Bifrost, getting towards those European Masters places, and have had a really strong showing, dismantling the Near in their first matchup. And now you can see creeps are clashing, people are ready, and it's time to get down to business.
So let's talk a little bit what we want to see here in the early game. We have Viking pathing from top down towards bottom side, and I think that is the point of attack in the early game from Dusty. You're playing against a very immobile AD carry in the Jhin. Jhin, he's great once he gets out of lane. He gets to be facilitating. You have the composition with a rumble where you get to be long range, the follow-up you get from a Malphite, nukes on the set, and Slowq and Aurelia jumping in. But it's about getting to that point, and Dusty, they want to make sure you don't get to that point easily. They want to make sure that you're punishing an AD carry with low agency in his kit.
Absolutely, and with the Volibear, you do have early tools to do just that. On the bot side, you can see skipping over those Raptors going straight towards the red. He's got priority in the bot lane, so could look to get something going. And of course, at level 6, the Volibear's going to make diving very, very easy. On the other side, Riddle, you've got to imagine, is it a case of them just wanting to sit back a little bit, not giving an opening to Dusty so they can get towards that really strong team fight you talked about?
I definitely think so, because you don't actually have a lot of pushing lanes in the early game. You can see it here. Now into Malphite. Malphite doesn't get to do a lot. You'll have good trading patterns every time your Q is around, and that's because you've opted for the comic in your runes. So you kind of just throw your Q, get the poke damage down, back off. But once it comes to hitting the minions, it's a range into melee. Now it's going to be taking control of the lane. I was curious to see what Venza and FGG was going to do with that bot lane, because they had a wave 3 crash, but they didn't really use this to get out of roam, to get insight on the scuttle. They just used it to keep the pressure down on Riddle's bot lane. And Riddle's bot lane, quite frankly, they're fine with this. So we're looking for the point where Dusty finally decides that they want to attack around this bot side. But we're speaking about bot. We might have to change it around and say top.
Yeah, Viking's hanging around. He's got that dog buff. He has moved actually back towards the top side to find Kex out on the Malphite. He needs to be a little bit careful he doesn't go out of position, but just wards up into Tribush. Won't have spotted the bear who's hanging out behind the tower, but Viking spending a decent amount of time. That bot skull's there.
Ward is down, and then Meganar is close to getting obtained. He might actually cancel his recall and go for it. And yes, Viperoon, I do believe he's done so.
Going for it. He's going to look for the stun. The Malphite's pretty big, but there's the Meganar. As you said, the stun, the flash, the damage is there. And it's going to be first blood going to Viking.
Easy as from Dusty. Brilliant layering from CC by Viking, starting it all up with the flash Q. Easy for Malef to follow up with the W stun from now, and that's just the first blood. Really only at the expense of a flash. MC still out on his second clear now, have already recalled. Let's see if he can do anything to Backlund.
Nice stun, but Backlund's in the shroud and can just dive away. MC, of course, getting that bottom lane Scuttle Crab as FGG holding the fort alone, as we see Venza already going back for that cull, which is always a very nice first back for the Jinx, just to get a little bit more investment.
Exactly, and that's also why the early game, itself is a little bit difficult from Riddle getting to that point, because you don't actually have a lot of pushing lanes. Yes, you get to work around with the Aurelia, but actually pre-6, not the best one to have a roaming around the map. So Volibear with Viking here actually has a great time. You could have set something up down towards the bot side, or you did it up towards the top side, as we just saw. And in turn, your bot lane is really not in danger. They crashed the wave. Venza just went for a recall himself, got a little bit of an item advantage, and now he can crash the wave once again. You can set FGG out to roam just a little bit, clear out some vision in your own jungle, and you can try and attack another map, point of attack rather, on the map again.
Something interesting to note as well, we've just seen Slowq go for that reset, but he's already gone back once. This is his second back, just going back into lane. Backlund has had plenty more time, but it's only 4 farm up right now. But we'll be coming in with parity, of course, going for those immediate assault boosts, wants to get that mobility about.
This is interesting. So Slowq currently has set a freeze upon Backlund. Backlund just used his Shuriken toss, and he doesn't actually have too much vision around. Nukes, MC hovering around as well. This could be dangerous.
It's going to be a proper skirmish. It's going to be a 2v3 if it kicks off, but MC will be spotted out on a ward, so you've got to imagine Backlund giving some respect to that side of the map, and has just hit level 6 as well for a little bit more damage. But Backlund right now does need to be careful because is extending without too much coverage. Having FGG will definitely help because we know how strong Nautilus can be in these early exchanges.
Yeah, exactly. And just in general, a really scary champion. Sometimes we even see them opt in for the shield bash, just for that extra damage when you put in the W. MC has been spotted out on the Crocs as well. They're trying to see if they wanted to threat another dive on the top side, but Kex this time around has obtained that unstoppable force.
Nuke's going in, grabbing into Venza, who will be able to move away, burning low with the Ignite. Needs to dodge out damage as much as he can. Fadikan moving forward, needs to get that fourth shot, finds FGG, but it's not going to be enough for anything. It's just going to be a bit of an exchange at the end of the day.
Yeah, but good poke damage coming out from the Riddle bot lane, playing around that fourth bullet from Fatu-chan as well. Jinx does well in these extended trades where she gets to prop the lethal tempo, but if she's too busy running away from a set, well, you can't really do that. So actually brilliant trading down there. Now Riddle, they get rewarded. They get to crash the bot side. They can move up into the river, can use their pressure by just being in fog of war to allow Buckland being like, oh, I can't really step up.
Now Nuke's just going to be showing a bit of authority onto FGG as well. Of course, Nautilus being out of lane does mean that he's a level below for the time being. But it's interesting that Viking hasn't even tried to go bot yet, where we said, maybe look, he's pathing down there because he wants to get the bot lane going as soon as possible. But he's loved being topside against Malphite, but now Kex has hit 6. This gank isn't as lovely.
Well, you say that, there's actually two people coming up joining it.
Backland is there. Nice ultimate away from Kex. I don't know if Akali's going to be able to get there and the flash away. Maybe enough, but Aleph, one more auto should secure it. No, it won't, but the next one will. And that's a kill going over to Aleph.
Oh, Kex, he's not having a great time up towards that top side of the map. That's a huge wave he's going to be missing. You can already see the CS discrepancy between the Gnar and the Malphite. Even more plating going over to Dusty as well. And what is the response from the side of Riddle? They didn't even start up the Drake itself, and it's just Aleph finding a really nice Gnar here. Kex not respecting the fact that there could be more people around in the area. Should have a sure unstoppable forced immediately. Flash could have come out soon as well, but Aleph, once he sees the opportunity to flash forward, he seizes it and take the second kill for Dusty.
Riddle moving down towards this Dragon, going to be starting that one up. NLC going to try and get back some tempo, as it's been all about Viking in these early stages. Up in that top side, Malphite has died twice. Of course, he's an engaged tank. He's going to be okay with having a little bit less gold. But the fact of the matter is, you've got a Gnar that's going to be coming online pretty soon. It's going to be terrifying in these team fights. And we've said how good Riddle are going to be in team fights, but we always talk about that on parity. If we can get a decent lead coming through from Dusty, suddenly champions like Gnar and Viking are going to be absolutely terrifying bearing down on.
Especially because Gnar and Akali is such tempo-based champions as well. I'm not saying Aurelia isn't, because she is for sure as well. But that just is a testimony to what kind of will happen if Aurelia is the one that falls behind the curve. Backland gets to be the one who's part of the play all the time. I actually like what Dusty is doing here. I think they should just continue to create these topside skirmishes, rather either be by starting up the Rift Herald, try to contest Raptors instead as well. Whatever you can get, small leads on the map, neutral gold, take it while you have this little lead.
And I really like that as well, because you talk about them being tempo-based champions. The Death talked about these two teams being tempo-based teams. And in a best-of-5 series, you come out strong in game number 1. Suddenly you're going into game number 2 like, yeah, this is going to be great. And we've spoken to both of these teams that are quietly confident, but they know and they respect their opposition.
I mean, even MC in the interview just now was saying that he was so confident that was going to be a 3-0. And I'm not saying that Riddle is out of this game, because no, by any means, they still have a composition that can be quite deadly if someone is getting caught. Even just Backlung in a mid game can get grabbed out of the Shroud by nukes at the correct time and CC up together with Kex, but so far they just haven't been given an opportunity to go aggressive. And now Dusty, once again, topside, recalling with Kex. This allows Viking to just get a little bit aggressive, get that jungle intel. You seeing that the Raptors are down right now is a clear sign for the Dusty bot lane to then go, okay, he must be down towards the bot side instead then. We need to play a little bit safer.
Now the question is, we've seen the Rift Herald picked up. I always love asking this question. Where should Viking be dropping this? Because I'm looking bot lane and saying, you haven't shown too much love. Is it time for a bit of an early Christmas present down there?
It looks like it's going to be another Christmas present, not birthday. What? How many holidays are there where you give gifts? I feel like Viking is very busy, giving a lot of attention to Kex.
His favourite child, clearly, just
definitely.
Or least favourite child with what he's been doing to Kex so far this game, but is moving on through the ultimate defense from the Malphite. Unstoppable force, but he's going to be stopped right now. And Aleph picks up another. And this Gnar is getting so much attention. This is going to be really, really problematic for Riddle.
It's also just a difference between these two jungle champions, because yes, you can argue that MC is not as active as Viking is currently being, but it's also not the same pacing that the Rumble will have as a champion. You are waiting for level 6. speaking of these level 6s, getting aggressive down towards the bot side.
Benz all right. MC moving on down, has the equalizer to throw it down the curtain cooler. Nice damage going down onto both members from Dusty. FGG's going to need to dodge this fourth shot. He can't, but the shield is enough. The deadly flash is flashed away from FGG with the fancy feet survives as Viking moves on through a dive from Fanican. This could be brave, but he gets Venter. He's looking to run away, but here comes Viking. If he can get the stun down, this could be Curtis, the ultimate forward, but a nice flash from the Jin. Fanican is moving for his life, but the hero sacrifice coming on through from Nukes. Puts on a shield, looking towards FGG, can't fight him, knows that his days are numbered, but is looking for the return kill. It's not going to come through, and it's going to be another kill to Viking.
Honestly, Nukes, what a support, giving away his life for Fatijin there. But in the end, it's still a little bit worth it for Riddle, actually. They get that 1-for-1. They get a kill on their AD carry. They get to push in the mid lane. Backlane even loses the teleport. So all in all, we were lacking a point of attack, but we said it, once the level 6 would come active for MC, especially down towards this Jin, that's where we started seeing them get aggressive.
And I mean, the damage here, you can see MC just clipping both of them and the 4 shots. FGG does so well to survive here, but it just wasn't enough in the end.
Honestly, I was ready for them to screw it up a little bit. FGG just flashing out of the way of a bullet that was going to kill Venser instead. Luckily, that was not the case, but Fatijin feeling confident, and Viking just not expecting that Fatijin was going to be walking up, 4th shot in his AD carry in the face just like that. So he's forced to take a different route afterwards. They do pick up the kill. Nukes flashing forward, a little bit ambitious. In the end, trading out 1-for-1 still decent for real.
Yeah, very nice. Also, FGG just holding that hook to make sure that he's
perfect execution.
But Nukes is going to need to be careful. Backland already picking up the first kill of the fight. Nice equilibrium to keep Dusty away from Nukes. If you see on Zorf, it goes wide. It doesn't hit anyone as Dusty are able just to walk away. Not the most impactful teleport we've ever seen from a Malphite.
Oh no, that's a point and click gone wrong. And once again, Backland showing up in the Akali. Let's see though.
Yeah, I think they're going to be able to get the kill onto this one. Backland has nowhere to go in the Shroud, and it will be MC securing the kill.
I was just about to say Backland once again, 100% win rate on the Akali, almost finding his solo Q on slow Q, solo kill rather. And then he steps up just a little bit, but now Aleph picking up the first turret for himself. Rift Herald getting plates in the mid lane. Hullbreaker has been purchased. So Aleph is going to be a menace in the side lane. He can continue to do so. Aleph now with topside pushed in. Despite having built Hullbreaker, can try and join the rest of his team if they want to contest this Drake getting started up. But as it currently stands, the vision control is just in Riddle's favor. And it doesn't look like Dusty are in a position or want to contest this one. I don't even think they'll have the time.
I think they're moving forward. They'll see it as it goes down, but that's going to be the second dragon going over to Riddle. We've got Mountain Soul, first one of the day, which isn't the most impactful soul that we have in the League of Legends right now, but you know, it's good to start a little bit slower as we hit the 14-minute mark as well. So as plates fall off, let's have a quick check-in with the state of the game. Nice gold lead to Dusty, almost 3,000. And as you look at these champions with the gold leads that they got, look at top lane! Oh, I don't like that.
I get it. Usually we go tanks. You know what? They don't have to spend that much gold on items. They can chill a little bit. They have a cheap way of building them. But this Malphite, he's going AP as well. That's a lost chapter. Probably going to be built into an Everfrost as well. So it is definitely still some item components that we'll have to wait a little bit before we get to that point with the amount of gold that Kex has accumulated for the time being.
I mean, you said ranged into melee, and I was like, yeah, that does make things a little bit
When
rough.
I saw that matchup, I was like, that's great for now. You love that. Getting to proc the hyper procs, getting that W, just running around with the Q, it's such an easy matchup to play.
But it's not even ranged versus melee. It's ranged and melee versus melee.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a fun matchup if you're not if you're Malphite, especially not if Viking is not kept in check. And I felt like that was a little bit of what's gone wrong for Riddle already, is the fact that Viking has not really been tracked as efficiently as he possibly could. We haven't really seen that aggressive vision. I would have loved if we maybe saw Pink Ward being purchased by Slowkill in the early game, especially because he had so much mid lane priority. See if we can get that up towards the top side on the river, or at least something that will spot Viking away. Because then, yes, I am losing 75 gold, but I'm also saving my top laner, and you know, that might actually be more worth it.
Top laners aren't worth 75 gold.
Okay, no, you're probably
Never,
right.
never drop a wall for your
Fair
tanks.
enough.
If you haven't noticed, we're not League of Legends. We're in a pause right now. Hopefully we'll be getting a resolution to that very, very soon. But I want to just kind of talk about where we think this game is going to go next, because we were thinking, hey, bot lane's going to be pretty interesting this game. You've got a clear victor down there. No one really got involved. There was MC making that one successful play where it was 1v1 trade. Viking was also around for that skirmish. But past that, we haven't really seen too much going on. Is this something that is going to explode in the near future? Because you got Jin and you got Jinx. These are two massively impactful champions.
That's the thing, right? Because I'm looking at the map state as well, and quite often have I seen a team get top turret as the first one, and then you kind of go like, wait, we're not rotating around a bot laner. We're now having a champion that's got Hullbreaker. We don't want to play around him. We want to let him stay for himself. So I'm looking at Dusty, and I'm wondering, are you going to be making some creative rotation now, where you're just sending your Gnar down towards the bot side, and you try to create skirmishes on the top side when second Herald spawns? I still think for Dusty, it's about creating skirmishes, using the gold lead you have currently to just push Riddle as far back as you can. Go invade their jungle camps on timers, and from the side of Riddle, try to see how much of your own jungle you can actually retain, because we've already talked about that composition. It spikes more when you get to play around a team fighting, but if you're going to be 3 to 4k goal behind, it's going to be very difficult. You need to be reliant on fighting some picks, and a lot of this is going to come out from the vision control and utilizing the CC you have in your team fight composition.
I mean, this is what we talked about as well with that second dragon going down, because Riddle had the control over that area. They had the vision, but with top lane tower gone, with mid lane tower on, I believe it was about 2 plates before it fell, there's a great opportunity there for Dusty to come on through and to open up the map, and as you say, move into the enemy jungle, start getting some work done, start squeezing the gold away. We're going to jump to a couple of highlights now just to see if you've just joined us. Don't worry, we've got you covered with some of the big action, and it's all been basically, let's kill top laner.
Yeah, and I think they've been doing a great job at it, Viking and Aleph. Aleph, we've been so used to seeing him as the weak side over the course of the split, especially because Dusty in the beginning was very much around Venser. But I think they developed themselves as a roster where they have developed multiple threats in terms of what they want to play for. I think it's great to see that they're then able to utilize that on the top side, albeit I think Hex was being a little disrespectful with his usage of the Unstoppable Force. But other than that, just all in all, great early game from Dusty. Riddle trying to respond back now when they finally hit that level 6 down towards the bot side as well.
And Vatican, of course, grabbing that kill, does lose his support and both summoners in this exchange, but it's been very, very interesting to watch how the priority has been different from some of the stuff we've seen from these teams before. Because as you said, Aleph hasn't necessarily been the focal point with Avenza, who Initialize was saying, the biggest glow up in maybe NLC history from the start of the split.
I think it was easy for Venser to look better than he did in the beginning due to the fact that Venser looked really bad.
Yeah.
In the beginning. Venser was, if you didn't watch NLC in the beginning, well, Venser was very known for just jumping into the back line. I kind of joked, if you played TFT, that he had an assassin emblem on him, because he would always just somehow, as a Jinx or as an Aphelios, Gale Force into the enemy's back line and all of a sudden be piloting the fight from there. And now you finally have this AD carry. We see shine on Caitlyn just before playoffs as well. We've seen him shine on the Jinx. He's been more respectful. He's being more aware of his positioning, and that's really important as an AD carry.
I mean, he hasn't randomly died once yet, which is good.
I mean,
positive start.
Venser have died once.
No, but not randomly.
Oh, not randomly. Well, I feel
wouldn't
like
say that he overextended under his own tower.
You know what? Maybe a little bit, though, because I do feel like, you know, he was forced out by an ultimate. Maybe he could have just waited for Viking a little bit. But those are the small, finicky stuff we can always look back at. But we obviously have the luxury of just flaming already.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing but flame here. We don't do an analysis.
You should see our green room, really.
It is.
We're not very good to
This is the thing, right? Because I'm not usually in Berlin. I'm at home in my comfy chair usually when I'm casting. Come in, people just, it's just toxicity across the board, really.
We are just very honest with each other backstage, and we're very comfortable with each other, which kind of allows ourselves to express the opinion that we have. And you know, it's all in good fun. We're good people, all of us, I think.
Well, if we're talking about comfort, there are some people who are comfortably sitting over on the desk who are just going to take us through what they thought of the first part of this game. So we're going to throw it over in that direction and see what they have to say.
I love Yachiro.
He says that.
I know, I've been crying, actually, off
Yeah.
like, he's just a horrible person, Gulbo.
Oh my. Oh, I was not expecting that.
I love him, really. He's great.
He also said,
like the flip-flop. I can't keep on his toes.
He also said, we're good people. Most of us.
Most of us.
I mean, it's me, so no.
And me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dusty versus Riddle. First game so far. A lot of aggression coming in from the Voldy Bear Viking to the top side. They're trying to shut down their Malphite, but You were saying something.
I don't know if we have, like, maybe we can ask production for the drafts as well, but I felt like both drafts are just so very well curated, right? Because from one side, from Dusty, you've got a lot of backline dive with the Volibear, the Na, the Akali. You've got the Jinx Rocket later on and the Nautilus. Yeah, so everyone wants to go in. But I feel like on a 5v5, both teams have ways to defend versus each other. I feel like the Riddle composition that was curated, it is such a great zoning composition. You know, the Aurelia ultimate can zone, the Rumble carpet can zone, you have the Malphite zoning with the ultimate, the set that can take one of the 3 threats, you know, away from the Jhin. And obviously, like when you have champions like Jhin, who can literally play from his fountain and do damage, you feel very confident playing into 4 melees that will be diving into you.
Yes, as long as you have Flash, as long as you've got a Gale Force, and you're still there, like the Flash did get Benny, did eventually get out, but he cost him a lot. And I think a lot of these mid and late game fights are going to be around how safely can Rumble and Jhin play to get down the key skills before inevitably someone tries to dive them. And can they get peeled for? And what is Slowq getting done in the meantime? And I don't necessarily think Slowq's going to have the easiest time in team fights either. While he's got great angles for hitting a good ultimate, there's a lot of really good CC to just stop him in his track. You don't get a blade dance everywhere when Na just hits every button and stuns you in place. When Nautilus gets to just basically passive auto attack you and stuns you in place. It gets challenging from there.
Before we move on, I would like to tell you all that a situation has occurred, but the production is capable of solving it, so we will be able to resume with the game in a couple of minutes, so stick around with us. Obviously, it's the first game. We still haven't seen team fights. We still need to get to that point.
That's where I wanted to get, yeah. So when you're thinking of team fights, the first thing that comes into your mind is like, we have a Jinx.
Yeah.
We have a Jinx, so we have the upper hand in team fights because we've got the ST hyper carry on our backline. On the other hand, you have got Fatih-chan on his Jhin, right? He's more of like a facilitating AD carry / yes, I'll do some damage, but mainly I'll give you the distance that you want to play the game. Now, my question here is, if Riddle are successful in assassinating with the AP Malphite plus Carpet the Jinx, if they manage to catch off guard Venza, I think even if you have to trade your Jhin, like if your Jhin gets dived by Akali and Sats and you trade the 2, I feel like Riddle is much more comfortable playing their fight without the Jhin than Dusty is without having the hyper carry from Jinx.
It's still an early game, so we still need to see how this game is going to develop. And now let's make a test. I love you, Goldberg. You're a really good friend. Take it over.
Oh, he's so nice.
Notice he
do
didn't
love him
mention me.
too. Honestly, Archer's been great working with. You know, I'm always sitting around in the green room, and he's always the first one to start preparation and like the last one to leave.
He was here. We came in, me and Initialize came in a little bit early, and he was already sitting there with his little cue cards ready to prepare and organize. And I think he was starting.
You know,
at
the
7
fun
a.m.
thing is as well, when we don't do best of 5s, we don't actually have to do a post game as an analyst, so we can kind of chill around. But Artrum has to be the only one prepping, actually doing the interview questions.
What a nerd, am I right?
I know, right?
This guy has to work like the whole time we're here.
Hell.
He hasn't fought his career through, clearly. But we are back onto the Rift, as you can see. Same game, 15 minutes in. Dusty hold the advantage, but Riddle holding the line for now at least, and the game is definitely not out of hand.
Yeah, but let's have a look at that now, because you have a very long top lane you can push in, and every time Aliv pushes this top lane in, it gives so much downtime for Dusty where they can just move around. You want to take away the Crocs? You can do that. You want to get more aggressive vision? You can do that. You want to threat a dive towards the mid lane who's already low because you had a Herald? You can do that. So just the fact that Aliv is this far ahead, and he continuously will be because Malphite will never challenge now inside. Well, that's a fawn in Riddle's side at the moment.
2 levels up as well, which is not super pleasant. It must be. But Malphite is the kind of champion that could, in theory, move around and get something going elsewhere.
At some point, it will have to be like, well, I'm not getting anything done topside anyway. I'm just going to join the fight and lose waves because I'm behind anyway.
Well, he's going to lose waves if he's up there. That's the issue. And I mean, there are no good options when you're 0-3-0 down, as Dusty decided to go for a good option. Second Herald has been started up by the Gnar, and he's going to be able to be helped out there by Viking FGG just getting that vision control. Like you talked about, getting a little bit deeper is what we wanted to see from this side.
Yeah, but now we also want to see Riddle try and respond a little bit. Yeah, take control of the bot side instead. You see a lot of members from Dusty on the top side. This is your window to get aggressive.
We talked about you not giving up unnecessary kills, and there it is. MC needs to be careful now as Backlund dances on through. Slowq grabs a kill on the other side though, and now he's diving back towards the Akali. Ducked back, but gets over the wall. Backlund helped out by nukes there, and will get away, but the fight continues. Backlund actually does get away because of the snipe from the curtain call. Aelif trying to find his way out, will be able to do so as Vikings there as well. He did pick up the Rift Herald. Very, very even fight, but I think Riddle shaded it.
Dusty plays right into Riddle's hand. We were just talking about it. Okay, multiple members of Dusty on the top side. Riddle will go in towards the bot side. And that's Dusty right. You have to respect this. You just got a Rift Herald. You got an objective for free. Back out. All Riddle, realistically speaking, should have been getting here was Raptor camps and Crocs and damage on the bot side. That should have been the trade. Vence, on the other hand, was like, how about you get a kill? How about you get back into the game? And then Slowq finally starts picking up some kills as well, which is probably nightmare scenario for Dusty, because he is the guy you don't want to get ahead in the mid-game scenario.
I mean, Aurelia being able to dive through these fights, and that was one of the first real skirmishes we've seen, and it went all the way of Riddle. The question being, obviously, the Gnar wasn't there, the Volleyball wasn't there until the very end. If this front line can do something else, maybe it's a different teamfight scenario, but Riddle have been handed a very comfortable lifeline. Bot lane, we're going to see the Rift Herald picked up, though.
Yeah, finally coming through, and now with side lane pressure, with an Akali, with a Gnar, in top and mid, which is something you can build up in maybe a couple waves, let's say 5 waves later into the game. You can start moving that pressure into the mid lane, and you can try and take care of the last one. But Riddle right now, while the reset is coming through from Dusty, they have an opportunity to start clearing out some of the vision in the bot side river towards that Drake, because remember, they're already sitting on 2 Drakes. Putting themselves in a soul point wouldn't be all too bad.
No, it wouldn't be bad at all. Especially, it's a mountain, so it's not going to be that big flashy win condition necessarily, but it does make these fights much, much easier for them because they've got those extra resistances and the shield on top. And you can see Dusty moving in. They clearly know that they don't want to be giving over this opportunity for Riddle, because while it's not a win condition per se, Elder Dragon could certainly be just that. And if you've got the advantage in those fights,
I want to look at the different TP wards we have on the minimap as well, because in the red side jungle, there still is a ward that Kex can TP if he wants to get backline access. And currently, Dusty's vision towards their own jungle isn't really all that good. Well, there he goes. That was the opportunity. Guess they're going to have to take it head on. Aelif's the one who's in a flank position.
Watch them outfight as well, but FGG's going to be able to get onto MC. He's already pretty much gone. Just managed to get the death shot down before he gets the killed. As Viking is on a spree with that one, moving towards the Dragon, and will be able to secure it. You've got to imagine, because no one from Riddle is willing to contest.
And it felt like for a short amount of time, Riddle actually had an opportunity to start the fight themselves, but they waited around just too long. That meant FGG finds a beautiful Hex Flash, finds MC, and once the jungler is down, well, there's not much for the rest of Riddle to actually do about the situation, and they'll have to forfeit the Drake. 3k gold lead for Dusty and FGG. Very low HP bar. But the rest of Riddle already scattered back to their base, and this means even more intel to Dusty.
And I mean, slowing down that condition of getting that Cloud Soul, or the Mountain Soul even, is really nice. You see Vence is given some free time on this middle lane tower and will be able to knock it down. So that's all the outers secured before the 20-minute mark for Dusty. The map is wide open for them now.
Now it starts to become curious, though, because we have the next step in the plan of ending the game, of cleaning it up. It's too early to be starting up a Baron. You won't shred it. It's a little bit of a throw win condition because you don't want to get your magic resistance shredded by Baron's passive, only for MC to come in there with the equalizer, which we're hoping Dusty will not do. So what they'll have to do instead is that they'll have to trim out the outer turrets in the side lane, try to pick up this 600 gold, try to take care of the opponent's jungle now that you have the extra pressure by no longer having the mid lane tower, the safety for Riddle. And that's what we really want to see them attack. Every time a camp has respawn, that's where you want to go for it. You want to wait to the time where you finally pick up those items, and then you can start threatening the Baron later down the line.
And I mean, we talk so much about how important it is to break open those towers to open up the map and to give themselves the opportunity, not necessarily to do the Baron, but to set up control around it. But having all of their towers themselves gives them some safe harbor to move back to.
You know what my main concern is with a lot of players, though? Is that they focus on, all right, let's open up the map. We try so hard to get to this point where Dusty's at right now. 3 outer turrets completely gone. And then they're kind of like, but what do we do now? We always say to open up the map, but it always feels like some teams are really struggling in terms of how they'll get away with it. This time around, Dusty, they're patient. They see no one on side, therefore, Vence, FGG, Viking completely back off from the mid lane. Now that they don't see anyone in the mid lane, but their side waves are getting responded to, that's where the 3 Musketeers in the mid lane are starting to get proactive, trying to clear out the vision. So they're doing exactly what they do here. Be patient, don't rush anything. I know it feels bad in League sometimes to not just always be on the aggression, but sometimes you can't allow yourself to do so.
And I mean, playing it patiently, this is a good standard to set for the rest of this series, just going through the motions and saying, we're not going to give an opening to Riddle, because they've already done that once this game. Venza going into the jungle bot when they were getting that second Rift held, completely gave Riddle an in, which they absolutely took. So now they know, right, we can't be giving Riddle options. These guys beat JDXL. You can't be giving them an inch because they'll take a mile, and Dusty are not giving them that. They're controlling vision, they're not over pushing, they're looking for FGG, who might have overextended slightly though, as MC and Vatican trying to get the damage down. Aleph is there, building up the rage bar. Kex is there, it's a 4v2 if this fight kicks off in earnest. Aleph is about to go large, but gets knocked back into the enemy team, and now he's in a lot of trouble, gets a very nice stun, but it doesn't matter as the shutdown comes through. FGG will be able to slide out, but the curtain call is being used. Shot 1, 2, they both go wide. 3 and 4 will not be in range, but it's a good pick up for Riddle.
Yeah, but why didn't they just attack mid lane as well? Venza had the full possibility to do so. Down towards the bot side, getting responded with a TP.
Viking was trying to turn off the tower, did manage to do so. Kex has the ultimate available, so he could be looking for someone. Viking needs to be careful here as he's running him down, getting the damage through. He goes golden, but I don't know if that's going to save your life, Viking, as Backland has to dance away, diving back on through, but I don't know if that's the correct decision as they both go down. Benza can't get the return kill with the ultimate. And just when we were saying that Riddle hadn't been given an opening, Dusty give them 2.
As soon as they got the first 3 outer turrets, I knew it was over for Dusty. That's why it starts becoming difficult playing that macro, and Riddle, they start getting creative. They hunt FGG for so long. They pick up the kill, and then they still have to teleport. They still have the ultimate of Kex, which allow them to get aggressive here. And I gotta say, Dusty had the opportunity to attack mid lane here. Currently, Venzo is pushing in another wave, but he already did once before. He was already hitting the turret once, but then he started moving up towards the top side. So I think the decision-making here from Dusty just went down a little bit. And if you're to vote with you, again, after this game, this is definitely the situation you're having a look at as to where it went wrong.
And this is exactly what you were talking about, saying, look, we don't know how to get through this next layer of defense. As MC going to lay down a red carpet, looking for Venza, can't quite catch him. The cleanse is used regardless, though. So that's a nice tool taken off the table for the Jinx. But Dusty need to recollect themselves and think, right, the conditions are still the same. We've just given up a couple of kills. It's not too bad. Let's just try and break through. Aleph is still very strong on the top side, but Slowq can now match to an extent. As we get the fight in the mid lane, FGG needs to be careful. A lot of damage onto Nukes, though, as he's going to be one who's called out, blown up, as Viking secures the kill. Teleport coming off through, may display things, but Viking wants to go back in. FGG is there as well. Backland on the side, helps pick up MC, is now looking towards Slowq, who's also very low. He's diving on forward, manages to pick up one before he dies, as Fadigan runs for the hills. Kex won't be able to find a way out, though, and is caught and killed by the Nautilus. Aleph is running on through, gets another kill and a shutdown as Riddle are routed.
24 minutes into the game, that's an ace. One member can solo up the Drake, that might be Aleph, while the rest of Dusty, they can move their forces up towards the top side. Yes, they don't have a jungler, but there's still 15 seconds for MC before he gets respawned from the fountain, and it looks like they're just going to skip the Drake. They're going to take the big objective in the Purple Worm instead.
Absolutely going to be able to secure this one, and this is what they can use now. We talked about how we didn't know if they were going to have the right tools to take down these inner towers. That's what First Baron was built for.
Yeah, this definitely makes matters a little bit easier for Dusty. One could claim so without getting too much flack, and now with the resets coming through, hell, they might even be in a position to still run down Drake, take another fight if they want to. Let's see how it all happened again. It's Nukes getting caught off, and then the combo of the Flame Chomper with FGG hooking Nukes back into it. Once it becomes a 4 versus 5, it's just an incredibly deadly situation, and FGG once again finds the hook immediately on Slowq as soon as he gets out that teleport. Once that happens, the rest of Riddle are just left to play retreat. But you can't really run away from an Aleph that's so fast on an R, who's got the slows on his boomerang.
And we're back into another fight immediately. Once again, it's Nukes' deja vu. He's going to dive back through, but gets killed before he hits the ground. As another kill goes over, this time to Venza, and now Riddle are caught between a rock and a hard race. They're going to try and get up, a nice Meganar onto 2. The snipe from Venza for the double. Fadican will be deleted as well. Slowq goes down. Riddle with nowhere to go. How far can Dusty push here?
Yeah, they can definitely push up towards those inhib turrets. I don't know if they're looking for an end currently. 30 seconds for Slowq, 40 seconds for Slowq, 30 for Fatichun. 20 on MC, I mean, hell, they might even look for it if they want to be cheeky about it, but I think the safe option here, 26 minutes into the game, is push this bot side turret, take the inhibitor, and go for the resets instead.
I don't know, they look like they want to try and force it through for a second longer as Riddle have only got 2 members defended. Viking is there looking for the engage. They're going to be able to take out Nukes. He's already gone, and so does Kex. He's taking so much damage. He's deleted. He looks like a tank, but not really, as the Nexus towers go down. MC lays out the red carpet, but it's going to be a victory replayed for Dusty as they pick up the first win of this series, 26 minutes in.
That's a short game for this meta. We usually average around those 30 minutes. This time around, back-to-back team fights won from Dusty was enough to solidify that victory. And you kind of have to feel like the Riddle walked into that. Nukes got caught in the mid lane, turned into a 4 versus 5 fight that Riddle still decided to take. And then afterwards, they got greedy for that Drake. They wanted to put themselves on soul point. And I said it, with the Baron-empowered recall, you get extra movement speed when you recall. You go fast down towards that Drake. Riddle once again routes it. And Dusty just pulling the trigger, saying we don't want to risk losing if we're moving into the reset timers. We just want to try and take it right here, and they could.
And I mean, realistically, Dusty did give openings, but we're not going to spoil that for you because we've got a desk that's going to break all of this down. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.
And welcome back to the NLC after a stellar victory coming in from Dusty versus Riddle. A good start for that team.
He's sending kisses to the camera.
What happened? What?
Sending my love and affection to chat.
Lovely.
I know, right? I thought it was nice. Trouble's dodging me.
Our chat deserves
You know what was
Exactly.
also
praising.
nice?
These guys are
You
good.
know what was also nice? The fact that we said it's going to have to be the jungle, it's going to have to be Viking, it's going to
Yeah.
have to be MC, creating opportunities for the teams and also translating them into victories. I felt like Viking was just a little bit further ahead. So the plan behind Dusty's composition, right, is the fact that they wanted to pick somebody on a side lane or somebody that has overextended, kill them, and then they can fight 4v5 and keep their Jinx safe, right? On the other side for Riddle, you want a team fight. You definitely want to have all your peel tools in front of your Jhin and then just slowly go into 4 melee champions that Dusty have and just not let them advance at all. So the plan technically was good. The draft was good from the side of Riddle. I think the execution lacked a little bit. The fact that Kex did not necessarily respect the side lane whenever you don't see Viking, whenever you see like double wave pushing under the tower and the Gnar becoming mega Gnar, but you don't respect to run away, so you burn both flash and ultimate after you've already seen the play 3 or 4 times.
Well, it's like Malphite gets tanky. He doesn't start tanky, and especially not if you start Lost Chapter.
Not if you go Everfrost.
Not if you go Everfrost, right? And that's fine, that's fun. You get more explosive, like engage there, but you've got to survive. And credit to Viking, he takes the early jungler, he takes the tower diving jungler, and he keeps making plays. It got a little sloppy in the mid game, and credit to Riddle for turning some plays around and getting the likes of Fadichan and Slowq into a dangerous position. But you kind of saw this point where like Riddle couldn't hold their battle lines. And it's great if you can keep your artillery pieces way back, throwing down Equalizer, throwing down Curtain Call, and having Slowq pick apart what remains, right? But when actually you're the ones getting dived onto, you're retreating back, you're trying to peel back. That's not how your comp wants to work. It's not how your champions play, because they are kind of a split up where you want to have, you've got the kind of the front line section, which is engaging and kind of like dancing around with the Aurelia, etc. And you've got the other kind of artillery pieces. If it's all collapsing apart, you just get all of these consistent divers with your Kali and the rest continue to run people down.
We have footage to actually complement what you guys are talking about. In a way, actually, Viking played giving the lead to the team. They didn't play necessarily for the bot lane as well. They were just giving lead throughout the entire map.
I just felt like fundamentally Riddle were lost here and Dusty had a plan. Dusty had the plan of we're going to get the Gnar ahead on a side lane to the point where even when you want to match the Aurelia into the Gnar, where it's a favorable matchup for Aurelia, you cannot match because the Aurelia has not necessarily accelerated ahead. She doesn't have the equal items with the Gnar. And when the Gnar goes Mega Gnar, you can just disengage off of the Aurelia and not die on the side lane. I feel like Dusty went in with a plan, ganking topside, and then later on, you know, your Jinx will come online at some point. If she doesn't die, she will come online at some point, and that was the case. For Riddle, though, I'm kind of disappointed in MC because mainly your point here was like, try to set up mid lane, right? You've got the carpet, you've got the Aurelia, try to set up mid lane, get your set in the middle as well, shut on the Akali, get the Aurelia ahead. So maybe you can also match the Gnar later on, but at this point, it was actually Fadichan pulling ahead, and when you just have a Jhin that's fed, like, what can you do with the Jhin into Akali? Like, you can't do nothing.
You kind of saw it a few times there. FGG getting some really key picks, and the problem is, like, yes, you got a set, but it's a support set. It's not a tank set, it's not a top lane, solo lane set. The XP wasn't there, the items weren't there, and he did get burned through, and then suddenly your front line collapsed, you get run down. It wasn't perfectly clean, though. We saw the initial play there where Venza face checks the jungle and MC gets to roast him alive. You see this play here as well where they think, look, they've just played, Riddle have made a play topside, we can play towards bot side, but this teleport comes in and they do get punished. And Dusty's opportunistic pick looks weren't always flawless, but eventually they come to a point where it's like, look, it's not just a pick, it's a whole team fight. Aces, we started the route early on, we killed the front line, and then they kind of get to close out really efficiently, actually. The 26-minute win was not what I was expecting in that mid-game.
I just felt like Dusty grasped really quickly what they needed to do in the early game in order to completely open up the game, and that's exactly what they did by getting the Gnar ahead, by getting the Volibear ahead. Like, who's gonna deal with a fed Volibear? Technically, you have a Jhin. Jhin is known to not be the best tank abuser, tank killer.
No.
So once you get that Volibear ahead, once you give him the Hourglass, once you give him the Chem tank super early on in the game, it's just so hard to bring him down. And honestly, I'm honestly kind of disappointed with the early game from Riddle, because you saw that Dusty was playing permanently topside. I didn't see him see bot lane, not even once. I didn't see him see trying to get into the red side jungle of Viking and try to steal camps away, even though we discussed it, like camps were still up and available. The opponent bot lane has his back, so you pretty much have free reign into the jungle. I felt like we said it was going to be a jungle fight, and so far, Viking's coming up ahead.
If I might, this is not only a victory like with the number. This is more than a victory like the first one of best of 5. Because you just said, Viking said in an interview, pick the Rumble. We don't care. We're fine with that. And MC is like, okay, I'm going to pick the Rumble. I'm comfortable with the Rumble. And I'll show you. Not only you take the W away from the first one, you show that the team is
together and you kill the Rumble gameplay. It's better to not ban the champion and allow you to play the champion and kill you with the champion. Now your confidence will go down, and this is a momentum team.
Yeah, it is. And like, we saw a really big high from Riddle in their first series against XL. You know, like, don't get me wrong, there were some close games. XL won one, and there was some, you know, interesting mid games. But actually, MC was pretty untouchable, actually.
Yes.
I saw one proactive Rumble ultimate. That was the bot lane dive, where they go 1-for-1. And Fada Chancellor has to flash out. And then otherwise, it was reactive. We saw it when you saw Venza face checking, right? They get the Rumble down to kind of punish the check, but it's reactive still. And that is not what you want to see from MC if you want Riddle to win. Fine, pick the Rumble, but please do something more with it, because actually Viking, by the time you were looking for even one play, had pulled off 4. Your top lane is 0 and 3. That Gnar that should have been side laneable certainly wasn't.
I think what really hurt them right there is instead of picking the Nautilus Rumble, they picked the Jhin Rumble, because your Jhin is not going to get contested. Jinx has already been picked. I felt like when Nukes had the Nautilus together with the Rumble in the JDXL series, they were able to roam more, they were able to lock targets down more easy, and it was for a longer amount of time, and I think that gave them a little bit more playmaking ability and setup in the lane and whatnot. But all in all, I feel like I agree completely with you. You shatter their plans. They're like, it's the Rumble King. We're gonna put him in the jungle. I think at this point, if you are Riddle, you go blue side, you take the Hecarim, and you just run away with it. And also, a little bit to touch onto the momentum. I agree to disagree with you, because XL won the first game, and then Riddle took all 3.
You stole away the way I was going to throw it to a break, because all set aside. No, it's fine. It is important because Riddle also lost the first one versus JDXL. So who knows what's going to happen next? We'll tell you as soon as we can recover from this break.
I'm so sad.
Welcome back, and we jump straight away to Champion Select number 2, Dusty on the blue side. Riddle pick again, the red side. This is like a remake. It's the same pick, the same bands to start it off. Will we see something? No.
It's the same band.
Wait, is it Hecarim third?
Well, I don't. Surely. Yeah, what I suppose it's Jinx first pick then?
I think what you do here is you let them pick the Jinx and then you pick Nautilus Rumble if you want to run it back. I think if you run it back, you have to pick the Nautilus right here. You don't have to run it back, you can go towards the Lee Sin though.
Okay,
Wait,
it's salty. It's a run back. And the thing is, I don't even hate Jin Rumble. It's a great combo.
Ah, wait,
No.
This is a replay.
Okay, wait, no.
It is
I'm
salty
getting,
run back.
guys, I'm getting flashbacks from
Oh.
summer 2021 EU Masters where
Okay.
Fnatic are in the finals versus K-Corp. They lose the first game and they proceed to do the same exact draft in the second game and they lose that too. Stop.
What else?
If it didn't work in game 1, it's not gonna work in 2.
This is a
Like the
Nautilus.
comp. It's like it has its moments, but the thing is, wait, you need to be right. Okay,
Production, is this live?
this is live. So
No, this is a replay. No, I'm kidding. No, come on.
I trusted you. I really shouldn't have.
You shouldn't.
I was too busy paying attention to the screen anyway.
Don't
Sure,
pick
fine.
Aurelia here. You do not pick Aurelia here.
It will look okay.
For the love of God.
I think if you do this, I don't mind it. This is a good trio. It is a good trio. Hate it for a second, but if you are going to do this, I need to see a better top lane matchup, and I need to see not set support because the set was getting picked off every single time as the reason it's
I'm
fallen off a
heated.
bit. And you can't disengage everybody. Ban the Akali as well, because clearly you can't handle it. So get rid of Akali. Maybe think about picking up something. Honestly, even a Leona would go a long, long way.
The Vex.
Exactly, something like that.
Ban the
Honestly,
Vex.
don't ban the
Okay,
Vex.
Thank
something
you.
different,
Akali's
something
gone.
new.
No ban the Vex. I think LeBlanc and Akali
Yeah.
in the hands of Buckland are so much more dangerous than the Vex. Because with the Vex, once you have wasted your passive to try and push
Will
in
it
the
be?
wave, this is where you can actually engage with Aurelia and Rumble in the mid lane. I think we need more proactivity from this Rumble and we need more setup in lanes. Get something like the Shen, get something like the Ornn on the tops of the map. Even the Sion, can set up fights later on. Get me the Leona down both sides of the map, something that can CC lock you down for such a long time that when you do step on the carpet,
Yeah, stay there.
your
Give me a
feet-
Leona.
your
Give me
feet will
Leona.
start
Give me
melting on it,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like, give me something else that can do that. Like, I think the LeBlanc man makes a lot of sense considering its backland. I still think you can probably play the LeBlanc into Aurelia. It's just, the Aurelia into the LeBlanc rather. It's more of a skill match, but when you know
I
backland's
think
comfortable on
Rumble
it.
wants to play into the LeBlanc.
And that is probably a better takeaway in some ways. Give Keck something he's a bit more comfortable on. The question is now, what does Aleph go towards? I mean, Aatrox is up. It's something he's
Aatrox
looked
is fine.
before. Ornn, honestly, probably okay, but you lose that matchup. You just got to have a better team fight.
I would go probably towards the Gragas here. Because
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that is an Aleph special. Yeah, I can do that.
You're looking at very long-range targets. You're looking at Jhin, you're looking at Rumble. Aurelia's going to be diving in. The second these kind of targets come anywhere near you and you can actually barrel them. Also, you have the Jhin there where if he starts curtain call, you can interrupt. They're going to go with the
Ooh, Camille.
Galio, maybe?
I mean, honestly, Camille Malphite would be hilarious, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be a mid lane Malphite anytime soon. But I do like the Camille here. I think it's actually really nice to know you can't run away from it. If they lock in the Malphite, I will love them forever. Instead, mid
No way, AP
would
mid
also be really
Kai'Sa.
fun. I know it's hovers, so will hold.
I'm sorry, but
And
I
I think
would be.
Ari would make.
I would be very scared to play AP mid Kai'Sa into Aurelia.
So it is the Vex in the end. They sure threw options. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded any of them, but again, the Aurelia would have destroyed the Kai'Sa. It would have been not nice. This is a lot of follow-up. Basically, Camille gets to pick a target, and like we were a little bit worried about backline access last game. Camille is like single out the Jhin, single out the Rumble, and they are going to have a horrible time because everyone will pile in from way, way, way away. At least they get the Leona, which I asked for.
I like this.
I like the fact that now MC has set up not in one, not in two, in all three lanes, especially when you have the Megana. The Minina will bully the Camille from distance because Camille is a pretty good matchup into the Minina. If you do catch him, you destroy him. But then on the Megana, you stun her, you lock her down, you put down the carpet. You've got 3 lanes that can provide you with setup to gank. I think MC needs to be proactive in this game. He cannot be lost the second he sees the jungler top lane.
Counterpoint, I feel that Viking also has pretty good setup in most lanes there. You got Fizz in mid lane, Camille level 6. Like so, honestly,
and he's playing a champion with setup himself.
Exactly. So like, look, MC, you need to be on your counter gank form. He can do it on Rumble. He's done it before. He's done it against a lot of the really good teams here. But if you misread that early game again, your top lane or another lane gets put behind by the Volibear, then things get really scary.
Riddle me this. Who you think is going to win? Now you first. Trouble.
It's the 1-3.
It is the 1-3? It is the reverse?
You know what, man? They did it with JDXL. You give them false sense of security.
Yeah?
You let them win one game, and then you take everything home.
Look, I thought we controlled the NL copium supplies, but apparently Trouble's been
Nah.
got a hold of him in
I've
the
been
break.
buying it illegally.
She did the hair flip, so you know she's right. Without further ado, I'll toss it to the Casas. Viper with it over!
Now I'm right.
What is happening?
Well, I was going to say, so unfortunately we didn't get full prediction. Well, we got Trouble's prediction.
Yeah.
The last game, our analyst desk both said that Riddle were going to win.
Okay,
And
you're throwing them
then-
straight under the bus here. Okay,
you know- okay, so
spicy.
the real-
I can see you don't want to get invited back. You get, you get blue
I
now.
said this to you. Everyone was like, oh, we're just toxic in the green room, we're nice on broadcast. I was like, no, let's do it the other way around today. Initialize is actually
Honestly,
hitting.
Initialize is actively beating Viperoon right now. He just went up to the caster
He
desk
can't beat me in
and
predictions
started
then, isn't
beating
it?
up my co-caster.
But the actual point I was going to get to with the, just moving on back towards the League of Legends, as you can see on your screens, is have Riddle fixed the problems that we had with their draft?
No, because they okay, they have if they track Viking in the early game. The problem currently is that Kex is still in a matchup that's not beneficial to him in the early game. And maybe we'll dive into that in just a little bit. Because I do want to see what's going to happen out of this little invade. Nukes will spot it out. Ward, not cleared. Any sweepers in chat? Nope, not gonna happen.
They're going to be spoiled out there and they're going to dissipate along the river. But quickly talk me through the early game, what we should be expecting. Are we going to see something similar to what we saw in the first game?
I mean, game plan is the exact same for Dusty. Again, you have a bot lane to play for with setup. Fatichun has opted in for cleanse, but that's not going to do all too much if you get hooked in the beginning. Yeah, you can cleanse to root, but either way, you will still have a lot of damage coming down on you. And now you don't have that kind of bodyguard that would put the damage back. Now it's really only disengage from nukes coming through instead, and while he can tank it, it's not going to have the same sort of aggression. And Venza this time around with the cleanse will be able to get rid of a lot of that CC. But no, what I really want to hammer down is the fact that MC this time around needs to be way better at covering his junglers in the early game. You need to get up to that level 6 point, still for the bot lane, still for the jungler, still for slow Q on Aurelia in the mid lane as well. And if you can't get to that safely, well, you're going to be running into the same problems that we just saw in game 1. So I don't think it changed all too much. I think stylistically, they're still running into some of the same issues, but now at least they know where they will be attacked, and that may help them a little bit.
Well, of course, we're going to have to keep our eyes on MC. I think that's going to be the matchup that's most interesting, just because getting a little bit more in the mixer would be good. And it's what Initialize and Trouble we're talking about. Well on the desk, we've got to give them some credit for doing good work when they do. And talking about how MC has been so pivotal in Riddle's rise to prominence, in the playoffs especially. But last game, he didn't really do that much, which was unfortunate. It was very reactive. He got a couple of good things going, but it was really too little too late. And now, actually, very early on, we're going to see a little bit of Dusty just letting their opponents know they're there.
Honestly, really nice from FGG there, doing the auto attack animation cancel into the queue there, just to catch up Fatichun. Problem as well now is that before you had 2 lanes that was pushed in on 3. This time around you have 3 lanes that's getting pushed in on 3. Now with a slow push coming back to Alif, which is great because MC's pathing up towards the top side. Alif can now wait around in safety and not have to worry about getting ganked himself. Although Viking does fancy himself a little invade here. MC half HP, Smite is not up just yet. Will be just in a little bit to regain some HP again. No wards around, but Viking doesn't know that, and he will be backing out. But MC's job is still to farm to level 6.
Yes.
You don't have to do too much, but you want to be able to cover your teammates. You want to be able to track Viking in the early game. That's what we're looking for.
And so far, so good in that regard. Viking, of course, was very, very proactive last time around. It's back to take a little bit of poke. Viking going to move on through, but Slowq is able to dive away. Flash is available, though, and this should be first blood. No,
oh, no!
That is why Jamada Senpai said, always pop your pot when you're fighting.
Oh, yeah, and in the mid lane, or jungle, rather, we might have another fight again. That's fully overheated.
Trouble, and MC is a level up, has to flash away, but won't be able to get the shield. First blood goes down to the Riddle jungler, looking towards back to Bo5 to get the kill. It's reactive, but it's good.
And it's cheeky from MC. He's done the full clear. He's a level up ahead of Viking. He's overheated, and that's massive damage. Coming out against the Dusty jungler, picking up the first blood. Riddle already looking way better than they seemingly did in the first game. And Slowq, he is getting way too aggressive here. Viking's almost in a position where he can capitalize on it. Tries to get the Thunder down, and he just does, but damage is not enough. MC now has all the intel he needs. He knows Viking, he's going to be clearing his top side as it has not been cleared yet. And therefore, MC is able to pick up a kill.
And I mean, Viking holding the flash and not going for that first blood himself might have been the difference there between a kill and no kill, just thinking that he had a little bit more damage than they did. As Dusty go 0-1 down in terms of kills. Of course, they took the first game very, very comfortably. But this time around, Riddle might be looking to change their fortunes with a very, very similar draft.
Yeah, it's already looking way better now. They do have the vision. This is a 2v2.
Vikings moving on forward, trying to get towards Slowq. He might be the victim now. Burning super low and just gets cut down. It's MC with the kill as Backlund running to the win in the bot lane. We've also got a fight going on, but it's going to dissipate. It's just a little bit of a skirmish back and forth as Vans are actually looking forward. But now we're seeing Backlund running back, trying to get away the other direction. FGG will be able to pick up a kill in the bot lane, but it's going to be Slowq securing a 2-0 in the mid. Dusty, they get something bot, but this mid lane, MC is doing exactly what we wanted to see from him.
In the grand scheme of things, you're exactly correct. This time around, they had the tracking on Viking. They even know they opted in for a 2v2 situation. There was a deep ward in the mid lane, which gave them the intel that Viking was coming around. And it's making matters so much easier for them. Flash forward from Fachichan.
Thinking about it, but puts that fourth shot into Venzo. Had a health bar enough to chunk. It won't be able to hit the zap to continue the exchange and does back away. But now this is a completely different side to Riddle, and I mean, we needed to see big changes from the last game as Alep's going to put a bit of damage down onto Kex, who just needs to be careful, but we'll be able to back away. The changes we've seen so far are very, very promising, especially, let's have a look at this bot lane fight.
Yeah, because we didn't actually see what happened, but this is the new... I love how matchups kind of evolves over the time, especially because we've seen so much Nautilus and Leona. But the way you're supposed to play this matchup out now as Nautilus is actually wait for Leona to dash forward with the Senate Blade, and then you can actually interrupt that with your Q, just like you would with a Thresh. It's a bit more finicky, but it's still very much doable, and FGG once again showing up, getting themselves a kill down in the bot lane.
Luke showing up mid lane just to stick around and make sure the backline's not going to do anything crazy like engage, because that would be a very bad time for the Vex. FGG is moving around warding. No one's gone towards the Dragon yet, so it's been up about a minute. Infernal will be our first of the day, which is quite a nice, impactful Dragon to put a little bit of priority on.
Oh, most definitely. Now, let's see if Dusty as well can influence any other lanes. Viking is around the top side. There's currently no wards. MC is around the area. Oh, no.
Ultra will not catch because of the ultimatum. Will be stunned up, taken low. Nah, bouncing away, but Aleph follows the flash and secures himself the kill. Different champ, same old tricks.
Brilliant stop from Aleph. That's almost a mad life prediction there. On a Camille instead. MC was barely around the area, was sitting on the Crocs. But brilliant from Aleph, dodges away the Gnar with the Hectech ultimatum, and afterwards follows up with a hook shot. FGG with a hook line and sinking, nope, not coming through.
Although the follow-up coming through from Nukes, but it's just going to be a little bit to just disengage things, get that aftershock proc and will back away, but that's exactly what we want to see. Let's have another look at this.
Oh, ain't that just beautiful? Dodges out in the stun and ultimate in the same one. Kex plays it correctly in terms of saving the jump, but this... Aleph, my god. Brilliant, just brilliant.
Aleph really out here like, I want to get MVP of the series, just saying, with some really strong performances in the first game, and then in this one making a play like that when your team is a little bit behind. Maybe Dusty just have to play through this top lane again, because clearly they've got something going on between the two.
Oh, most definitely. And it's something where, once again, Riddle has not been very willing in expending vision up towards their top side. I'm talking a river ward or a ward just where the blast cone is going to be where Viking will come through. Kex is really not getting a lot to work with either. Granted, yeah, he could be the one himself dropping that pink ward around the bush area, but it just goes to show that there's a clear weakness in the early game from Riddle, and quite frankly, it's come from Kex.
We're just into the bot lane for a minute. Just to remind you, Venza and FGG, Nukes and Fadigan are all still there, just chilling out, farming up. And of course, we saw the Jinx in the later stages. Venza was able to do some good work in the final couple of team fights in that last game, but the positioning was a little bit suspect. We're yet to see that this time around. But I'm a little bit worried about Venza. I'll give it up, because he's looking a little bit like the Venza of the earlier part of the season in terms of the decision-making, but the mechanics later do look like a little bit later.
Okay, let's have a look at topside though, because Engage comes through once again. Kex in a 1 versus 1, but the rest of his teammates is around the area, and this is crucial because this time around it's Dusty opting in for a bot side dive while Riddle is on.
He's going to look towards it. Vatican hit up by the damage, and the kill goes over to Venza. Nukes now is a tanky prospect. FGG is going to be taking up the tower. Is ignited as well, but going to be able to go the kill. It's Viking with the second. A perfect dive as everyone from Dusty gets out alive.
Brilliant cross map. Before in game 1, top lane was what they were targeting. This time around, once they see MC and Slowq on the top side, starting up that Rift Herald, they themselves would just be regaining control of the bot side, putting Venza ahead on the Jinx, and now gaining themselves the first Infernal Drake off the Rift.
A very, very nice trade-up. Of course, having that higher priority dragon is nice to make it a little bit more valuable, but 2 kills for 2 plates and Herald will be nothing to stick your nose up at if you are Dusty. Of course, the Herald has gone to MC, so we'll have to keep our eyes on where that investment goes and whether it's going to be more impactful than the one we saw in the first game.
You're completely right, because this time around, it now means that it's on Riddle to create tempo. It's on Riddle to create a play. And so far, there haven't been too many lanes to do so. And yes, you can go for the mid lane once again, but realistically speaking, it should be difficult just forcing that fight out of nowhere unless Slowq finds it, because it is still an Aurelia into a Vex, and it would have to come from other teammates like Nukes finally getting enabled on the map. And this was something the desk was talking about as well, seeing Nuke roaming around.
Yeah, being able to get into different lanes and give that man advantage. It didn't necessarily always work out last game, even though...
He never got out of lane.
I mean, there was one time he got mid. The teamfight didn't go their way, but he was physically somewhere else on the map.
Yeah, that's a point. I'm not too sure if it's a good one.
And you were like, you know what, no. You certainly said words in an order, but that's about as far as I can go. But let's talk about Slowq a little bit, if you'll indulge me.
I will.
Because this time around, the Aurelia, which is something that he played last game, has got online much, much sooner. I don't mean he's necessarily picked up the really super early items, he hasn't got very fed. But when we get into these early skirmishes, which is already where Riddle looked their best last game, having this Aurelia a little bit further ahead than the Vex is certainly going to be useful.
I completely agree, and with the amount of bot side vision that they've already obtained for themselves, nothing is really stopping them from trying to create more skirmishes down towards the bot side, or when Red Buff finally respawns again. You will have TP again on Kex as well, in just a little bit of a moment, and then here, the vision comes into fruition. They know Viking is around. He's level 7. MC is level 9.
This is the exact opposite of what we saw last game. Of course, jungle matchup is the same, but Viking has not been able to get onto the map and do as much. Of course, he's actually been involved in 75% of his team's kills so far, so it does look okay. But MC has already got 2 himself and is moving in towards the mid lane. Backland is going to be caught out by the Equalizer, has to flash away from that corridor between the tower and the wall. And we'll be able to survive. A plate does go over, but Riddle, they're being proactive. They're starting to make plays work. This is looking better from them. However, they don't seem to have built themselves any kind of lead just yet.
Now, I think MC will just have to use the Rift Herald in the mid lane just in a little bit to put some more gold injection into Slowq on this Aurelia, because it is timing out soon. And if they go for a skirmish down here, which does not favor them, they're just not going to get much out of it. I'm really curious as to where that's coming through, because now Slowq's on reset, he's low on mana. The Riddle bot lane is pushed in and they're going to be resetting. So MC, he's going to be walking up towards the top side to try and clear his camps. And granted, it is a decently low top turret. They may be able to open it up if Rift Herald becomes part of the action.
But is currently hanging around mid, might have to make a beeline if he wants to go there. Slowq did teleport back into the mid lane, so there is an option to throw it down there just to allow a little bit more support. And I think actually that's exactly what MC is going to do. It's a 2v2 as FGG. Red, the player, moved forward as well. This won't be enough to take the tower. And actually very similar from what we saw Dusty do in the first game, with just not getting the tower particularly, but getting a couple of plates and getting it low. We're going to see a team fight though as Viking kicks it off. FGG following on through. Nice damage, but the Riddle are turning up. They do lose the first member of the fight as MC does fall, but Slowq, as we said, is good in these skirmishes. Only gets 1 before Venza takes him out, though. Nice lockdown from Backland and Viking. As Riddle forced to back away, their bot lane survives, but the rest of the players in that play did go down.
Yeah, and they can still go for it here.
Kex needs to be a little bit careful over.
Oh my god!
Slightly at A-Lip doing a lot of damage. This is exactly what Trouble was saying. If Mininar gets jumped onto by a player like this, it's curtains.
And once again, the issue of rises for Riddle, the fact that, okay, let's change it up. Let's just pick a different top lane on 4 instead. You're still putting yourself in a position where you're giving the opponent a counter pick. And that's the real issue. It's not really the champion itself, but let's have a look at the fight again, because it's actually brilliant set up. It looks bad at first with Viking having to face check, but as soon as Venza joins the fight, and he gets the flame jumpers down on Slowq. Slowq doesn't get to do the Fet Aurelia things. He's just shut down in an instant, and that's the pivotal things as well. Shut down gold going over, not just 2 kills.
A11 needs to... Whew, that's a lot of damage coming out of Camille.
He can take it again.
Turn this fight once again. Gonna not flash on the tower though, because he did take a decent amount of damage from that minion wave and will back away. Grab 2 plates before the towers sloughed off though. And Dusty, for what felt like a battle play from Riddle, have a smaller lead than they had last game, but are still in control.
But I'm seeing some of the same things again. Bandage duty needs to be applied on top side once again. Kex is going to get outscaled on side, and I kid you not, it has already happened 14 minutes into the game. There's going to be issues with this, Camille, so it's for the rest of the map, really, to start making plays, especially since the TP's down. A11 know this, though, so he's just moving straight down to Drake, with Kex moving up towards the top side. We might see a 5 versus 4 situation benefiting Dusty if they play this one correctly.
Dragon's going to go very, very low. It should be secured by Riddle. They're going to grab that one first of the game for them, but there's the damage coming on through. They've caught out Rumble, and MC is gone. Nuke's going to have to run away as well as Aleph looking towards him, just trying to get a little bit of damage, and we know how much he can do, but Backland diving on forward with the ultimate. Nukes is toast as he gets blown up for the double for Backland. As Dusty lose out on the objective, it's Ocean Soul this game, but they do grab 2 kills, which they'll be really happy with.
They'll get so much more than that. They can push in the bot side, get Venser turret as well, and all of a sudden start opening up the side lanes that we are talking about. They're putting themselves in a very good situation for the second Rift Herald, where a team fight probably will be broken out, or rather just be given up by Riddle. Now Slowq getting aggressive in mid lane.
I think Backland is gone. He is dead. Slowq picking up the shutdown, which could be big for the Aurelia, and Venser, as you said, is going to be able to secure a tower in response.
Slowq as an individual shows up. Once again, we saw signs of it in the game just before. Riddle
moving forward. FGG is there, but with 2v2 as Nukes does show up, putting down the Zenith blade and starting up Viking, who's tanky, but he's not that tanky. He has to go golden to survive. The red carpet is below him, but he will be able to ult to safety. FGG on the tower will secure his freedom as Jinx moves into the mid lane.
And that's quite a few ultimates down, whilst the second Rift Herald, as we just talked about, has respawned. This can put Riddle in a opposition rather, where they can try and contest a vision setup and put themselves in a better situation should a fight break out. But once again, it's a man advantage. There's not much to do about this situation. The read coming through from Riddle is a little bit wrong with Kex moving up towards the top side. If they really wanted to go for it, should have moved that top laner down as well, but they just have to play retreat duty as soon as the Drake is taken.
Aleph is doing so much damage at the moment, and it's a case of they can send him top against Kex. He's a great time. Definitely wins that 1v1 at the moment. They can move him down to team fights and be like, yeah, you know what, nah, you can be off split pushing. We don't really care. We're going to be able to take kills off of your team, even if we don't get the objective, which by and large isn't hugely important. And this Camille is going to be a massive play around. And you've got Jinx, you've got Vex, you've got tools to do additional damage as well. And once again, I'm feeling like this is feeling a lot like last game, a little bit slower, a little bit less extreme. But a 26-minute win is pretty extreme already.
Nah, you're right on the money. Same stylistic, different champions, really. I will say, though, Riddle has managed to make it more competitive and create more threats this time around, at least with MC being ahead of the curve against Viking this time around, and Slowq being ahead of Backland. But there's still so many things you'll have to deal with. The side lanes being the main issue, but also the fact that this side lane pressure can now be converted into mid lane pressure instead. And Viking still has that Rift Herald active. So I don't think it'll be too long before this mid lane turret will fall.
I can't agree more, because we know what Dusty's MO is. And now, for me, the real question is going to be, as we look at gold and the difference, it is a smaller difference in top lane, but it's still quite noticeable. My question is going to be, if Dusty can put themselves in a similar map state with the 3 towers down and looking pretty nice with the towers defending themselves as well, if they can play out those next 5-10 minutes a little bit better than they played it out last game, because they won in those 10 minutes, but there were lots of cracks in the armor which I want to see paved in a little bit.
Yeah, you're right, because those cracks in the armor, that's also opportunities for Riddle to punish. And,
yes,
you know, you got to give Riddle credit for that. They have been good at punishing when the window has been left open by Dusty, which they forget quite often, not going to lie, a little bit of a drift. Riddle able to sneak in, steal away some of the gold that Dusty have accumulated. This time around, though, that's that side lane pressure we talked about. 4 members in the mid lane now with Backling as well. Aleph can move down if that's what he desires, but with Rift Herald spawning up, surely this objective will fall.
Should be able to get this mid tower. Riddle have committed members to the defense, but it's going to be taken down by the battering ram. I don't think there's going to be a second charge on the cards, though, as slowQ moves on forward. And that's something to note as well, because if they give these opportunities over to Riddle to take plays and make something happen, slowQ is in a much better position this game to do so. And an Aurelia grabbing 1 kill, which is something that we saw a couple of times last game, with a couple of kills on top, could quickly turn into an Aurelia grabbing 2, 3, 4 kills in a team fight.
100%, especially since there's still so little mobility on the carry of Venser, right? He's once again opted in for the Kraken Slayer, so no extra mobility from a Gale Force. So a lot of this will come down to Venser fighting really good position, but let's be honest, that's not what he displayed in the first game.
No.
As you said, cracks in the armor, they are still showing, although Dusty, though, haven't really faltered to a pickup. It's more been Riddle actually playing around nice with the tracking, not so much Dusty slipping up, but there's still room for it, although probably not what you're hoping for.
No, you're probably not going into a game going, we really hope that Dusty are going to make some mistakes, because Riddle, we heard it in the interview, they want to be coming in proactively, we want to be coming in and taking the fight to Dusty. And I mean, MC's prediction's already wrong in terms of...
Yeah, the 3-0 didn't really happen. No, yeah, you're right about that.
I mean, for me, something that is also worth noting is that Venser's positioning can be a little bit suspect, but Dusty build a composition that can paper over those issues quite well, even with Aleph and Backland. These are both champions that can stop Aurelia dead in her tracks.
And this time around, it's not Riddle just opting in for the wrong fight either. You can see that they're actively trying to trade sides of the map instead. They see that Dusty's going for a Drake. Well, what's the next option? Let's take that top turret. Let's trade the blue buffs, rather, because Venser and company went in and stole away Riddle's blue buff, while Riddle was like, great, we'll steal away yours. So they're just trading or trying to trade evenly on the map, which is exactly what you want to do, especially with Riddle's composition, where you want to find that great team fight where a lot of damage is just going to be compiled on the enemy backline. And for that, maybe still 3 items on the Jin for that proper facilitation with the Curtain Cone. Maybe slowQ at least with another item. But as the teams are posturing right now, they're feeling a fight. They want to see if they can catch someone here.
And Venser's the one who's extended, going to be caught out by the Equalizer. The stun comes through, but the cleanse will be utilized. And now Dusty on the attack. Teleport coming in from behind, though, as Aleph runs on through. Looking for MC, will be able to find him. Nukes is caught out and will go down as well. Fadigan has to cleanse himself and dives away. Riddle might have only lost 1, but they still lose 1. As Dusty make him pay.
Not much to get on the map, though, in terms of objectives. There's only really vision and extra intel to be gained of this, which is, of course, still a victory. Unless Dusty really want to go for this Baron, rather.
This is brave, though, because MC's in the neighborhood. Riddle still have 4 members. It's only Nukes who went down. The squad is big, but it's not big enough, potentially, to take down this Baron uncontested. They're going to be able to spot it out. MC looking towards it. Doesn't have ultimate just yet, but it will be coming up in the near future, and Dusty know this. Are they going to commit? Are they going to do this? Because if they keep going, MC will be able to break them up with the Equalizer. It's about to come off cooldown, but it looks like they want to go for the engage. Kex is caught out. Will go down to Aleph once again. I've said that so many times this series.
GG.
As Nukes moves back in. FGG looking for someone, catches out the Leona, will be taken very, very low. Venser on the back getting the damage down as MC gets the fire burning. Aleph will be able to escape as FGG hasn't overextended, tries to catch out Fadigan. It's Venser doing all the damage. Dusty take another fight, but will they be able to take Baron off this?
I think the HP bar might be a little too low with small death timers, 15 seconds on Kex, but no, you know, they're going to fancy it. That Curtain Call might be coming up in a small while as well, but there's just no mana for it. And it looks like they'll just be going for the Baron.
Oh, I've seen steals in my time.
Oh no, this can be cheeky.
This smells like one. Fadigan. Members are so low from Dusty. Might be able to pick up someone, though, as he's thinking about it. Baron goes 2K, 1K, looking for the flourish. Oh, no! That was so
91, 91.
Dusty, you had me going for a second, but they do secure it. Let's have another look at the fight.
Oh, they just don't know MC doesn't have flash. They could have taken this Baron. They weren't really risk of a smite fight here, but MC is on the back with the Equalizer. Kex diving forward all alone. No follow-up from slowQ, doesn't have that flash. And once the chase downs come through, there's still no Aurelia ultimate to work around with. Equalizer have already been popped, and Curtain Call is on cooldown. So you just don't win these extended fights, especially not when you're playing against a Jinx. And this is where it got really dicey. This is where it got really, really close. I admire Fatichen for walking down in on the top side, and the timing was almost perfect. Let's have a look at it once again. 91-6.
Okay, this is a public service announcement to NLC teams. Stop not smiting Baron correctly.
There was no smite. There was the jungler was dead. That's why.
Well, I mean, I just hate it. They're stressing me. I'm gonna go grey because of these Baron attempts.
I mean, they had it all under control.
Oh,
obviously.
No.
Obviously, yes. And now with Baron buff, they're sieging up the inner turrets instead. Alif down towards the bottom side, playing 2 lanes, exactly what you want to see. Alif needs to be a little bit careful, though.
Yeah, Kegs is about to go large, looking for Alif, trying to take him down, dancing away. The Camille should be able to get over the wall with a blast cone, dodged away from the Gnar ultimate as well. May well see him out alive. FGG gonna get slowed up. Venza as well, he might be a little far up as FGG gets the ultimate, but it's gonna be for nothing as Fadigan secures the shutdown. FGG has to go golden, but the statue will tumble most likely as Backlund moves on through, trying to get the escape. Sends 2 fleeing, dives on through, sends nukes fleeing back to the fountain with the ignite as they will be able to catch out MC. Nice ultimate coming through from Viking as well to help secure the kill. And Venza caught out. Riddle get the kill, Riddle lose the fight. It's the story of the series.
Yeah, they are picking up a few objective bounties on the other side of the map. Slow Q picking up the inner turret on the top side, still getting a lot of gold for himself, but in the grand scheme of things, that is a very clear Dusty victory. And yeah, Venza getting caught off guard is a little bit of theme. I'm not gonna lie to you, but once again, in the bigger picture, it's still a lot of kills being picked up by the rest of Dusty afterwards. Backlund still having the ultimate, getting the kill with the ignite, seeing if he can snipe Fatichen as well, just misses it barely, and they still pick up the 2 kills. They still keep the pressure going with the remaining Baron buff on their remaining members.
I mean, there's a very fine line between getting caught out and an inventive engage.
There's a very fine line between securing Baron and getting it stolen. There's a very fine line between a lot of things here, but so far, Dusty has still been on a favorable side of that set line.
Kex, not taking as much damage as he was a few minutes ago. We'll actually try and get onto Alif teleport coming through as well, but I think the Camille might just be able to run away from this one. Slowky not even going to chase as the Baron does fall off.
But in the mid lane,
looking towards MC, can Viking get the engage down, looking for the slow, won't be able to find it, will be able to smite for the slow, but it's nowhere near enough to catch out the Rumble. But Dusty still looking for these proactive plays, moving towards the bot side. This tower is likely gone, it's Rumble already.
yeah, they should be punished for sending 3 members up towards the top side, investing an expensive teleport as well, and therefore 600 gold shared in between the remaining 4 members on the bot side. Soul point already accumulated for Dusty as well, and in all honesty, they can be quite patient about this one. There's no need to stress about it. You have 5 kills on Backlund. Alif sitting on 4 kills as well. I wonder, production, if we could actually have a look at the gold as well, and there we have it. Events are actually at 13k as well, to the 10,000 of Fatichen. You can see the deficit also on the top side. Some clear-cut differences between some of the members.
Well, I must say the jungle difference is much, much closer than we saw in the first game. Actually, a lead for MC right now in terms of gold. So, improvements being made by Riddle. This game is not done yet, but it's going to be difficult for them. We got Baron up before the next dragon comes up as well, so there could be a point of contention there. Whether Dusty feel the need to fight over it immediately, whether they just want to control the pace, as they've been doing pretty well this series so far, in order to play for that soul point, which might be a little bit more long-term as a win condition.
This is also where Dusty starts making mistakes. Let's have a look if this is one of them.
FGG flashing away from the mistake. Viking going off on through into the middle. Who are they going to be able to target? They're going to be able to get onto nukes. As the damage comes through from Venza, he's on the side, putting out so much damage. Not touched by anyone just yet. MZ goes golden, but it's going to be caught out by the rest of Dusty as Venza picks up another. The damage is massive as Fadigan said, fleeing back to base. And do you know what? It's on the same timetable as last game. Dusty moving into the base, cracking open the inhibitor. Could they look to end?
Yeah, definitely this time around. 30, 20 seconds, death timers. Nuke's the first one who's going to be spawning, and that's still in long 10 seconds. Dusty, once again, a clean-cut early game with win conditions to play for. Ruining, taking over the side lanes, and then taking it to the team fights instead. Venza, are they going to be padding the KDA? Well, maybe a little bit.
He's thinking about it, but Nux is going to be able to get back onto the fountain. And do you know what? Riddle tightened up a couple of errors, but Dusty took it to a different level as well. They're going to pad a little bit of KDA before they go for the Nexus. 28 minutes this time it took. A couple of minutes longer, but Can Riddle survive 30 minutes?
It feels like I'm watching the same game. Yes, Riddle this time around is optimizing where there's a few mistakes. MC this time around was a part of the game.
Yes.
But you're still putting yourself in the same position with the same draft, the same time. If you're red side, please just give Kex that counter pick. Like, blind pick your support then instead, and make sure you have a stable top line, because it's quite clearly a threat that Aleph will just take over the 1v1, the 2 versus 1. Like, there's just so much to deal with, and not much of attention for Riddle on that top side.
I mean, lessons need to be learned by Riddle if they want to get themselves back into the series. One more loss and they are gone. We're going to jump to a short break. When we come back, the analyst desk is going to take us through a couple of those lessons, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few.
Welcome back, and for the second time, we were wrong.
I was not. Thank you.
I want to say that I think Riddle are definitely going to 3-0 this. With the form that they're in right now, no one can stop Aleph. He's doing absolutely insanely, fantastically well. I think Viking is in an absolutely different level. The bot side of the map is also wrecking it. I think Dusty are going for another 3-0 definitely. This is going to be a 15-minute
Because you
FF.
started with...
It's a 3-0, 15-minute FF.
Can't just reverse curse Dusty.
Why not?
Try and get it to happen. Look, you literally said in the pregame, Kex has been incredibly consistent.
not?
Such an incredible split. He's been manhandled.
Why can I not try?
I mean, I appreciate the attempt, but I'm just calling it out. I know what you're up to.
Okay, if you look into the next champion select, Jinx has to be removed. Either they switch side. Jinx, you have to punish the Jinx.
Like, the Jhin Rumble combo is nice, and MC managed to get some counter ganks off in the early game, more proactive from him, but topside's capitulating. And these mid-game team fights, just the ability for Dusty to keep going. Riddle make one mistake and they're done. Every single team fight.
I just got flashbacks from EU Masters Summer Finals 2021,
Yeah.
where Fnatic Rising pick a composition, it doesn't go very well, and they're like, you know what, guys, it was only execution problems. Let's run back the exact same thing. And I felt, this is what I felt like here. I'm like, you're taking the Na away into somebody who you know plays Camille, so he can counterpick you. And you know, they also play Aurelia, they play plenty of counters, you know, that you're blind picking Na for. And I'm like, why are you taking away the Na? We saw him play On in the top side, Kex. We saw his Shen on the top side of the map. We saw so many picks that he can actually influence team fights. Not every single lane has to be a carry. And I think at this particular point, what really needs to change for Riddle is take blue side. You need to be the one to maybe take the Hecarim. For the love of God, take the Volibear away at this point, because
Do something
Vikings
different.
Yeah, do something different, like change your bans away, take maybe the Hecarim, maybe it's time for MC's Lee Sin to make an appearance, get a traditional maids in the middle, maybe get the LeBlanc for slow queue.
All I'm saying is that salt is bad for your blood pressure. It's certainly bad for our blood pressure, so stop with the salty runbacks, please.
I can't, man.
Change the diet up. Give me some variety.
My heart is like pumping like this.
Robert brought something up before he ended the game, the idea that if you pick the red side, give the counter pick to the top. If you want to
Agreed.
keep doing it, do it.
But
if you don't want to get the counter pick, pick blue.
that's not the problem. So Kex is usually a weak side top laner.
Yes.
And he showcased that really well into the Excel matchup. So why,
Surprise of all
if you
people, right?
have red side, but you're pre-picking both your mid and your top, it's like, it makes no sense. There they were like, oh, we want to lock in Aurelia. But wait, we also have another with blind picking, and then you're locking in support. It
Yeah,
just
I mean,
doesn't
like,
make sense.
look, game one, you ended up with the Malphite as a counter pick, which is still a self-counter pick in terms of lane. Like, it's good for the comp, but it's bad for lane. He gets smashed. Viking turns up and he's like 0-3 in lane. Next game, it's like, okay, we're going to blind pick the Gnar. And you end up with the Camille being picked into you. You end up murdered horribly. You get solo killed a load of times. 24 Spike comes in and, you get murdered. And, some clutch flash hook shot plays as well from Aleph, don't get me wrong, but at least give yourself a counter pick. Don't just put yourself in this position where you're either blind picking or self-counter picking. That's not okay. It doesn't work.
I think the composition has worked previously. You need to take, if you want to run it back for a third time, for the love of God, run it back for a third time. You need to take the Nautilus away. Don't lock in the Jhin. The ADC has already been locked away. They're not going to take your Jinx. They already have Jinx. Just take the Nautilus away, because with the Nautilus, you can lock down anyone who's super far away. You can put down the carpet as well, and it's just a much easier, smoother sailing, because I feel like Nukes has fallen behind in trying to chase behind FGG. But again, in the Excel series, I felt like when Nukes was on the Nautilus, he did some amazing roles.
Yeah, he did. And, like, there's something to be said for, yes, okay, Viking and FGG have generally been the ones making the plays. At least that game we saw MC counter-gank pretty well. Like, the mid lane, they actually turned around a number of plays and got the Aurelia, got the Rumble ahead.
Nice, yeah.
Exactly. And that was good stuff. But you're right, Nukes hasn't done that much this game. And that was my worry coming into this. I kind of called out mid-jungle being potentially really important. And the jungle's turned up. MC's been okay. He's done some good stuff in that
Slow
game.
queue as well.
Slow queue as well, exactly. But Nukes has kind of been absent. We've chatted a lot about what's going on with Kex. I think it's time to flip the script, give me something new, even if it's something like typically Riddle and therefore crazy, like another, I don't know, Elise or something mad out there, which I don't think is that good at the minute. But the point is, like, something different. Give me something a bit more agency for Nukes, as you said. Give me like an Aphelios or something that's a little bit more stable carry, not just pick from Fanny-chan. Even an Ezreal, if you want to play weak side and just like support your top side. Just not what we've continually got. I need something new because it's not working.
The idea that when you were talking about Dusty, we heard Viking as well. It was saying our bot line is better.
Smashing.
We got Venzer. We're fine with him.
Honestly, I feel like Fatih-chan has matched Venza in terms of what tools he's been given, right? Because you
get
cannot
to the late
necessarily
game.
you cannot necessarily match a Jhin to a Jinx, right? But I think Fatih-chan, for the Jhin that he's been taking twice in a row, he has been doing great. I think the problem mostly lies on MC because there's only so much proactivity you can exert with a Rumble. I think at this point, you flip the script, you play Lee Sin. Pick the Lee Sin, take blue,
Something different.
take blue side, don't ban the Hecarim, play the Hecarim, be the one to be able to pull the trigger yourself, because right now MC is mostly relying on a kind of invisible nukes to create the opportunities and the engages for him, as well as his top laner, which arguably in this particular series, they're flaunting a little bit. So make sure you have the trigger in your hands to create the opportunities.
And like, don't get me wrong, Nuke's got the Leona. That's better. You can do more with it. But again, you need to leave lane. You need not to be getting dived at level 6 by a volley bear. Proactivity, please. Just give me at least some combination of either a mid jungle or a jungle support that can be to the play first. Because Dusty have been running comps, running picks, running matchups where they get to be the proactive ones, largely pre-6. And, yes, there was some good counter ganks, but that's still not it's not disheartened Dusty when one of them's gone wrong. Oh no, we've died in mid lane. Okay, we'll dive bot, we'll dive top.
And if you give away the jinx, you need to find a way to deal with the jinx. Or else Vincent is looking at the game, it's free real estate, and he's going to take it away. So, this could be the last game of the city, so who knows? They might do a reverse sweep. That's exactly what everybody... Is this?
Yeah.
Okay, she predicts the futures. He saw it. I don't know what's going to happen, so we'll toss it to a break. And we'll be right back with another champion select. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, and as usual, the James Bond lens.
And then
Nana.
Okay, there we go. Side. They switched it over.
Wait.
She predicts
Let me help you.
There you go.
There we
it.
go.
She sees the future.
So that's the 3-0. That's what my future says.
Okay. Yeah, it's like,
Okay,
you
what
imagine
needs to
8-ball?
happen?
Like,
Hecarim
shake
might
trouble
be
and get
available,
responses.
so
Like, what's the answer?
Riddle will not be forced to ban Hecarim.
Okay.
They take away
I
the
like
volley
that.
board. Jinx could also be a B1 for the bot lane, finally getting Fadichan in something else and forcing Vincent away from his competency
would
pick.
say-
The ban
Yeah, tell
strategy
me.
is a big
I
deal.
would say you don't necessarily care too much about
Predict.
the Jinx. If you can pick the Aphelios, Fatson has played the Aphelios to a great
Aphelios.
extent. Yeah. So I think right here, you just do not ban the Hecarim, especially if he doesn't get banned from Dusty, right? And you just fast pick the Hecarim. You play the Lee Sin. Just stop playing Rumble at this
Like,
point.
the other thing is, like, okay, at this point, one of something like Zeri or Hecarim's getting through. So the question then
I
is...
don't think Zeri's getting through. It's going to be probably banned by
Like,
Riddle.
well, I mean, like, the only other thing is, like, okay, so they ban it, so they don't want to first pick it, which suggests that Fadichan doesn't play it. Do you ban the Jinx and force an Aphelios first pick, and then,
No, you
okay,
ban
there's
the
the Hecarim,
Hecarim,
and then you
yeah.
just take the trade? Fine.
Yeah.
That's pretty acceptable. So it's just a triple MC.
I'll put them on. Wait.
What a surprise!
I see you. I see you.
Right. So now that the AD carry's been locked in, you don't actually have to respond here. You can just go for jungle. support even if-
Imagine here Dusty locks in.
Rumble.
Jin Rumble.
John Rumble. Just show him how it's done. That would be the ultimate in this respect. I mean, honestly, that was a thing way back in like 2015 and stuff. Like how SKT used to beat you was they would used to give you all your best champions and crush you with it, and then you would get them banned out, and then it would be trouble. I love this though, because when they beat Veneer, they got to go Caitlyn
And
bot
they
lane
take-
and
I want to say
deleted
this.
bot
I
side.
actually.
I really
okay,
like that.
So he's either hovering to tell him, see, you can pick your listen into me, right? Or he's hovering it to lock it in, and in this case, you take away his listen as well. Xin Zhao is pretty good, especially when you're gonna have probably Lux, Caitlyn bot lane. I think Xin Zhao is super crucial.
This could be the
be a
first
calmer
time
as
we
well.
see Viking in this series playing for the bot
He
lane,
locked
giving
it- he
away
took it away
those
from
plates.
MC.
Okay.
There you go. There's no Lee Sin for MC. What is the answer?
You have to lock in the Jinx Zhao.
I mean, so there is an option here where you go Gwen as well pretty early instead
Yes.
of go towards the
Yes,
LeBlanc.
finally.
So slow Q onto an AP threat, that makes sense in terms of the mid jungle, maxing your damage. It's a kill combo, which is pretty nice. Considering that the mid lane has often been a little bit of a focal point in the early game, I think there's a bit more proactive. You can actually be effective pre-6 in terms of a proactive gank, not just a reactive gank. Thank you, MC and slow Q.
They are adapting. Finally.
I think here you could be looking into possibly like a Morgana as well, unless you really want to go with the Lux. Okay, you want to go with the Lux. So I'm thinking here, what do you have to take away? The Tam Kench was banned consistently by Dusty, and right here, because Riddle has not necessarily picked a support, the Tam Kench could be a good shout for them,
Yeah.
together with the Jinx to take it away. The Thresh also.
Fiona, possibly, if you want to stop
Thresh
really
or the
long
Nautilus,
engage,
yeah.
So, I mean, like, the question is whether you want to deny safety or deny engage, because obviously
I think you
Caitlyn...
deny one of both.
One of both, exactly. And, like, there is an argument to be said for playing either or. If you're playing safety, you're basically saying, look, I just need to not die and lose absolutely everything in the first 10
Most likely
minutes.
going to be like a Nautilus Tam Kench
Yeah,
right here, and
that's
they're gonna force nukes again back onto probably something like the Leona, which makes absolute sense, right?
I really like the Veigar ban there in terms of, like, it's really obnoxious with Caitlyn and Lux as well because your zone control is just obscene. The question is then what you go along with. Honestly, Vex might not be a bad ban. The Gangplank away from Kex, which has been a special for him.
Viking must have been shouting that one. It's like, guys, we're not playing Caitlyn Lux anymore with Gangplank open.
Take him away.
Shen's still up, though, so that could be an option for Kex.
I'd like to see Kex on a weak side matchup. I'd like to see him on something like the Ornn, on something like the Shen that he's been playing out. Actually, having the Shen here, even into a bad matchup, could prove to be really clever because you have a Jinx in the bot lane and they have Lux with Caitlyn that permanently want to push. Viking is probably going to want to make plays down the bot lane to just get the Caitlyn Lux ahead. So having that Shen, being able to dive in together with the Xin or the LeBlanc, I think it's going to be super crucial.
I can agree
Seems
with
they
that. I
might
think
go for the Nun as well. They take away the
Okay.
Irelia as well, so it could be a reply.
Rise is really nice here in the sense that you can get shove against LeBlanc early. You can roam down bot. You've got a pretty good late game in terms of the fact you can split brush super well. You're not bad with the team fights. It also leaves counter pick to Aleph, who has done really disgusting things when he's had the way of the matchup, and he's probably going to get that here. If Kex goes towards the Karma top and we end up with a Yumi bot, which is definitely a possibility. It's been done before. I just don't know whether I like it. I still feel like Aleph can.
You have
really
two people,
demolish this.
two people
Okay, all
pushing
makes a
in,
lot of
so
sense.
finally we get the Ornn to the top side.
So, I mean, this is just a Camille angle, isn't it? Just go back that again. You can win that pretty easily, unless they want to really go aggro and go for the Akshan.
I think honestly you get a pretty free lane if you play into the Ornn, so
Aatrox works
anything
well,
that Aleph wants to take, I think the Aatrox works here. The Gragas I think works even better because then you can actually reach the Jinx in the backline as well. I mean, he has all three.
There's a lot of options.
So he has 4 picks that he's mainly played, the Ornn in it, but I think the Aatrox here gets a pretty free lane, and honestly, you're gonna have Ornn, Zinzao, and LeBlanc diving into you. These guys going forward, and the Aatrox get in the flank onto the Jinx, and Karma is gonna be bad news.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, if Aatrox, Ryze, and Lee Sin can play bounce house, so everyone dives into them, and that's their kind of damaged range, and it keeps the Caitlyn Lux safe, great news. If early on the Jinx and Karma can survive, you know, MC gets a level 2 gank on the Xin Zhao down towards bot lane, it's a perennial thing when you're running a Caitlyn Lux, then things get a bit difficult for Dusty because we know what happens when Caitlyn lanes fall behind. You're then into a Jinx Ornn game yourself. You've then got a LeBlanc who can pick off your squishy members.
Okay, here's the problem here. If MC wants to red buff into bot lane gank, his top side is exposed and he has an Ornn top side. So that means that not only Viking is he going to get to counter jungle his top side of the map, but then you dive the Ornn, you build the wave, you dive the Ornn, you get the Aatrox ahead. The other problem is that LeBlanc wants to go bot side of the map, but he has a Ryze and spammer push. So I think Riddle here have to go above and beyond because I think the Dusty draft once again is superior.
I have to do it again. Trouble.
3-0.
What about you?
3. Oh. I've placed it on camera. There we go.
I think this is
There's lights on it and everything.
Both casters are saying this. I don't know if I believe them now, but we'll toss it to the casters. Goldberg alongside with Viperoon. What do you guys think?
What do you think?
I think there is more tools to play around with a little bit from the side of Riddle, and I say that because I see ease of execution in terms of having a Jinx, in terms of having something to rely on in the late game. I still think there will be holes, and I still think some of the issues that we have seen from Riddle hasn't necessarily come down to draft all the time. I think, once again, tracking on Viking, pivotal. Finding early skirmishes is... Whoa, what the... Hold me. Please.
I don't know what.
What is happening?
I'm so confused.
And I'm scared.
Do you know what? You very well. You did the classic thing of you gave me a lot of words, but neither of them were a prediction.
So I think you can play around the middle. Honestly, I think you have early game agency to play around for. You have LeBlanc and Xin Zhao, which is quite easy to skirmish with.
Yeah.
You have a long range composition with a Jinx and with a Karma to facilitate extra movement speed. I actually think Riddle can win this one. I do believe they can from a compositional point of view.
They can physically destroy the enemy Nexus, but will they win this game?
I mean, that's up to Riddle, really.
You need to give me a yes or a no.
Why am I answering?
This is what... I'm saying Dusty 3-0. There you go. I've answered.
Riddle get this one.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
I like to stand out.
Took 64 seconds for you to get there.
That's why I'm a color. And
I was
going to
say, the desk get the...
It's what we call a Cloud9 statement.
Okay. Also, for those of you who are watching on at home, keep your eyes up for the momentum meter. We've got our high-level analysts and initialize backstage. See what I did there? It was a little joke at his expense. It's fine.
Well, I didn't really get it was a joke. Honestly, I thought you were nice until you said it was a joke.
You know, just you got to make sure that everyone's on the same page. But minions have clashed. Riddle need to win this game to keep their hopes of going forward alive, keep their hopes of European Masters and the finals alive. Dusty one win away from facing Bifrost on Wednesday. You know what? We've got very new look teams that you've already broken down very, very successfully. What are we going to see in the early game? Because this
okay, so let's start at one place, right? Let's start down towards the bot side. What
Okay.
you get when you get a Lux Karma lane is a lane that consistently wants to shove in wave and slowly but surely take care of the turret.
Yes.
They want to poke the enemy out of their own lane by either hitting the traps, binding, hitting the E's as well from FGG. But what you want to do then with Riddle's bot lane is that you want to contest the wave shop. You want to get the help from Karma to make sure that these waves doesn't get stacked up properly, to make sure that the time that Venza and FGG will have on your tower for will not be as long as they would want to. And then it's getting out of lane. Then it's waiting for those teamfight scenarios, and it's waiting for the proper window where warding has timed out, where Venza and FGG will be overstepping, and where you potentially can create some pressure by having a winning 2v2 in the mid lane, moving it down towards the bot side, and then catch Venza and FGG, which are immobile off guard.
Interesting. I'm going to keep an eye and see if they do manage to play around this bot side. Of course, top side, we got Aleph on the Aatrox against the Ornn, a champion who can definitely get stuff done. And we know how much Viking has enjoyed going to the top lane. It's been a very fertile hunting ground for him today. Can he potentially do the same thing?
No, I think it's very difficult this time around to go for the top side when you play against double armor or double attack damage dealers in terms of top laner and jungler. You can just go for double armor runes. Viking, don't know if he spotted MC, he will now.
Will have seen him now, but Backlund needs to be careful running down the river. Viking is there to flash more from MC. That could have been dangerous as Backlund's still alive. The damage coming through from Zin, that was big. First blood goes over to Vikings. Loki looking to return it, but the shield is there. Dusty securing first blood onto the Lisa, and that could be massive.
That is so huge that they don't get to just one-shot a target with the LeBlanc and the Xin Zhao, which we have just highlighted. Viking comes out through Fog of War, and Riddle, they're just not ready for it. First blood over to Dusty. And, this was something that needed to work from Riddle. This needed to be a kill. Phase rush from Backlund. Make sure he gets out of there from safety. The Q never gets procced from slow Q, and therefore it never puts him in a lethal range. Slow Q as well playing with the teleport, not the ignite. So there's not really that extra offensive summoner spells to help you chime down the kill, really.
Chan taking a bit of poke, as you'd expect against Caitlyn Lux, as we do see MC and Viking both in the neighborhood. Just checking things out, MC will be spotted up as he clears out the last bit of that ward. Viking notably was not no vision around, but with Venza and FGG extending, pushing further, they are not going to look for a dive, and it's just going to be the recall.
But mid lane failing with that play in turns is a little bit of a butterfly effect, because that means what we just talked about transferring mid lane pressure down towards the bot side, it will not happen. And this helps the Dusty bot lane being more aggressive under the enemy turret, as we're seeing right here.
What they're doing, and they might just have enough to kill the Karma. They will be able to. Chan steps forward, but doesn't go down. Viking is looking towards it. If he can land the snipe, this is a free kill, but MC's going to be following on through. What can Chan do? He has Cleanse, he has Flash. Will use it to get away from Viking, who does need to be a little bit careful, but the minion wave will crash on through. FGG and Venza should be able to come in to support. Flash draw from Lux will hit the binding. The damage is there as well, as Dusty get aggressive and secure another kill.
It's so beautiful. They knew MC didn't have that flash. FGG flashes forward once again, and what a stellar series this guy has had. We were talking in the green room, and you were asking me, who's my MVP? I said Aleph, but I did say as well that FGG really has been showing up in this series.
Very, very true. We've seen exceptional performances all three games. Of course, this game is still young, but as we look at this one again, nice bindings, nice plays. Once again from FGG.
It is, and Nuke's not respecting the binding. Remember, that goes through 2 minions, not just one. Well, it goes through 1 and then continues. Yeah. Viking not only forcing out Fatchan's flash, but also baiting MC forward. And FGG, once again, finding that first binding on a minion, then afterwards, the last one hitting on MC. It's just beautiful.
A lot of resources burnt there. That was 3 summoner spells committed by the bot lane of Dusty. Didn't commit the ignite because it wasn't available. So now the bot lane could be a little bit happier for MC to get down to, because he has the flash from the Karma. He's got the cleanse for Jinx for a little bit of safety. Maybe they can now look to turn things around down there, because I don't know, it's very different look teams, but the game feels the same as we've seen already.
It's still, yeah, in the 2v2, well, you're not going to get much out of that, because some of the stealth spells are still lacking on Riddle's side as well. So it needs to be someone else coming around to facilitate and engage like that. And currently for Riddle, you don't really have that. It kind of needed to be the mid lane doing that, but with the play failing in the early game, you don't really get that. I will say, as a silver lining, at least it wasn't Venza who picked up 2 kills.
Very, very true. They have been going over one onto Lux, one onto Viking, who now has 2 kills, so at least they're able to take his bags of money and just wander around the map using them up. As Keck is going to try and get engaged onto the Aatrox with the ultimate. Needs to be careful though, as the damage is going to be decent if the World Ender is popped. It is popped just defensively, and will back away. It's kind of nice to see Kex not getting dove in this series.
I mean, he is playing one of the most broken assassins in the top lane as well in that on. And we see it as well. Going on Steel Spellbook allows you to opt in for an offensive summoner spell choice with Ignite. But remember, we talked about summoner spells, and both junglers are down here.
Viking moving forward. I don't think they spotted out MC. So
Spotted by
just really
Sweeper.
Careful. FGG gonna have to back away, throwing down the damage, but will be able to secure the kill onto the Zinzao. Dukes and Valley Chan run for the hills as Dusty secure another positive play.
It's a decent read from MC because I know a slow push by Wences is being stacked up. Oh no, Kex.
Oh, Kex getting knocked up before he dashes. Gonna be dragged back in, and Aelith again the solo kill.
Oh, and they can even keep up pressure. No, MC, or Viking rather, moving away from that bottom side of the map. But so much action has already come through from Dusty. And as I was just saying, it's a decent read from MC. He knew that Venza and FGG was going to be pushing forward, but Viking knew the same, and he was in perfect position to capitalize on the movement. Surely not.
Oh, that's a lot of damage, and the sniper is going to be blocked out by Falajan, who is going to look to back away, thinking that was burning onto him, but both will survive from Riddle. But it's exactly how much Dusty's bot lane can do at level 6.
It is a crazy amount of damage, and it's only really the taste of it. Sorg Boots has been finished up by FGG, and if he's a real chat, well, then he's going Ludens. And once that starts coming through, getting hit by one binding can mean death, especially because there's a Karma, there's a Jinx, and there's a LeBlanc. Both are very susceptible to getting one shot.
And we've talked about how good FGG's been so far. You say one binding could be disastrous for Riddle. FGG's been landing these bindings. He's been landing all of the skill shots today, so he could be doing hilarious amounts of damage moving forward. And I mean, Dusty dominant lead once again. Rift Herald's on the table, so this could be something that Riddle could potentially look to play around. But do they have the priority to do so?
The thing is, if they want to fight for the Rift Herald, they'll have to move multiple members up towards the top side, and those multiple members would have to come from the bot side. Dusty, they realize this, and they say, you can go for that Rift Herald, but if you do, Venza and FGG will be taking the first turret. And even if they don't, I mean, even in the other scenario where Venza will just be crashing this turret and then they'll be moving FGG up, it's still a scary situation with Viking on 2 kills, Aelith on 1 as well on the Aatrox. Like, they're just currently not winning Riddle.
No, they're not. And for Dusty, they're just going to keep the pressure on. Viking will find MC and could potentially look to make something happen. Loki's there. Aelith and Backlund are also in support, though, as MC has to go over the wall. Aelith following suit. So does Backlund. Everyone's diving through, and the first kill will go over to the Rise onto Zinzao. The damage is big. The snipe is not enough from Falijan this time around as Viking steps away. Kex moving in, but can't find the flank and will be forced back to topside.
Kex was trying to see if he could find a kill with the long-range Call of the Forge God binding. Oh, that is so close. Just slipped his ass.
It was very... If that had landed, that might be the kill. We need to see one of these landing at full health just to see how much FGG can do. But let's have another look at this play, because everyone just commits so hard to get the kill.
And it's once again, just as we talked about, you don't win. Like, you don't win out of the 2v2 in the bot side. You don't win out of the 3v3. So Viking, quite confidently, just looking for the insect immediately. And with the Triumph coming through, also survives the rocket from Fatichun.
Members committed to the top side now for Riddle. The Rift Herald is available. But as you said, this allows Dusty to get themselves this bot tower. Unless they pull the trigger now onto the Rift Herald, which it doesn't look like they're going to do, it means that Dusty can just look to recall, commit to the top side, do the same thing while having priority over.
You're exactly right. This is what we see from a Caitlyn Karma all the time, or Caitlyn Lux. It's about getting the first turret and then just like a board game brick, moving this around the map wherever you want to commit plays. So we should just be seeing that bot lane suddenly turn into a top lane instead, especially with Rift Herald still being an objective to get, and it's still pre-14 minutes.
Yes. It is. So the 5 plates have been taken in the bot lane. 2 plates have been taken mid, 1 in the top side. Dusty starting up the Rift Herald. Only Viking just tentatively deciding whether he wants to go there, decides against the end. But look at the gold on the bottom of your screen. That looks pretty tasty for Caitlyn.
It most certainly does. So far, what I think Riddle's best option is to go for at this point is see if you can get some plating on the bot side. Even then, actually, you're not allowed. Aelif's going to be moving down there. Aelif doesn't have that unleashed TP, though. So if a fight breaks out, he's forced to TP to a turret. So maybe Riddle is looking for some place here around the Rift Herald, but even then, Dusty, they're just backing out. They're trimming away the vision that Riddle has just set up, and they can just continue the siege on the turret. They are not in need of a Rift Herald, but it's a nice to have at this point.
I was going to say, Dusty are in no rush to do anything right now. They're absolutely fine, just taking their time, going to be able to grab up this Rift Herald Although Riddle committing members, they might want to go for the fight. As you said, Ail's the only person not here, so it's a 5v4 as the call of the Forge God will be heard. Venz is going to get knocked up, as will FGT. Going to have to flash away from this one. The Rift Herald could be secured by Riddle, but Dusty don't want to give this one up without a fight. The eye is open towards them as they move forward. It's going to go low.
Well
Keep your eyes on the objective. Ail's coming on. Bruise's damage is big. It goes on the nukes. It doesn't blow him up as Rift Herald will reset, but Ail's on the backline cuts off all retreats, and MC will be the first victim of the fight. Slow Q dives away. It's only going to be one called out for Riddle, but now they can turn towards Rift Herald once again. Dusty take it all.
It looked good initially while it was a 4 versus 5. They burned Summoners as well from Dusty, but as soon as Aliv joins the fight, there's nothing to do from Riddle, and Aliv still being the man of the talk. Sluggy will get out of sight, and looks like they're just going to be taking care of the plating now. They have the Rift Herald. They can move this into the mid lane. They can move it up towards the top sub side. There's so many options currently for Dusty, and it looks like the point of attack will be that mid lane.
They just want to secure this one as fast as possible. Make sure that there's no mid tower at the 14-minute mark. Make sure they're giving as much gold over to Backland as they possibly can, because a Rise with a little bit of coinage is going to be doing wonders in the mid game. But let's have another look at this play, because Riddle successfully pushed them away, but then things go south.
This is where it looks good in the beginning, because well, it looks better. Good is not the word for it. It's like it's a 5 versus 4. We can try and go for it. Out of the replay.
Fight Kex is trying to defend that tower. 3v1. I don't think he survives, though, as Backland will tank up the last couple of shots. And is this going to be a 15-plate game?
I was legit just about to ask you the same question. It looks like it. 15 plates, 13 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. 2 Drakes have been accumulated as well. Every objective so far has gone over to Dusty. This might be a perfect game to clean out the series.
10,000 gold before 14 minutes.
Objective bounties will be live in 10 seconds.
But if they're not taking objectives, the bounties don't matter. I mean, okay, we're sitting in Riddle's chairs right now. Not the most comfortable seats in the house.
I feel dread.
What should Riddle be thinking? How do they get back into this game? What do they need to do to bring the game back a little bit in their favor?
I'm gonna quote Jamana on this one and say turn to religion. Sunday is coming up soon, 10 o'clock. Might want to be saying a few prayers there, because you're just not in control of this game. It's about Dusty making a mistake. And usually we'd say this maybe 25 minutes into the game, being like, yeah, it's looking a little bit dire, but it's coming to a close soon. You're relying on Dusty making a massive amount of mistakes. This time around, since it's so early into the game, that means there's a longer time where Dusty's allowed to make mistakes.
And
this is
might have been caught out, dives away very effectively. Viking is there with the kick. The call of the Forge God will land onto one. It's FGT. Viking will go down. No perfect game around here, as Riddle pick up a nice little pick. But that's all they get.
Yeah, but still, that is the first step. We were just talking about it. That is the first step. And Dusty, they're punished for not having proper vision control around where they're pushing. They had the good idea of pushing out their side lanes. Backlane was taking care of the top side. Aliv was down towards the bot side, but they pushed too far forward in the mid lane. Something up until this point in the series that Dusty, on the other hand, had been quite good at doing.
So step 1 is picks. At what step is send nukes on a flight to Iceland with a pair of scissors for some Ethernet cables?
Not too sure.
Bit of a Gwen main. It's all good. I'm fascinated to see how Dusty closes out, because again, let's ask the question. They've got themselves all of the towers, which is nice. How are they going to be able to push through? Because as soon as they took all of those towers, we were like, brilliant, great times. We were in the midst of saying Riddle are going to struggle. And then there's an overextension, and then there's a kill. This is kind of when Dusty always seems to be making the small mistakes to give a window back in. The window is open a sliver. It is basically closed. But, I mean, Riddle, they found their way in through narrower openings before.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily, they're not against the strongest of souls. It's going to be a Cloud Soul they're up against. This allows you to wait for potential Baron or Elder, if that's going to be the case this early into the game. Because as we're going on track right now, 18 minutes into the game, Dusty will be sitting on Soul Point. That means by 23, they will be having their Soul. It's a very early Soul playing around with. And from there, that's where the game might start getting a little bit dire. But I'd say that's the deadline we're currently working with from Riddle. Around those 25 minutes, if you haven't really found something, that's where the bell has rang.
Wait, are you saying that would be when it's starting to look a little dark? Because I don't know, Gulwog, but I think this looks pretty dark already for it.
Listen, I like being an optimist, okay? So let's say this is the even ground.
But let's try
and say it's
I'm going to question that a little
DP
bit.
coming through,
in
Vibe
behind,
Viper
can they
breaking
take
out.
Members of Dusty, they're moving on forward. So much goes on, but the Zinzao Ultimate does a lot of work to avoid FGG. Kex is running on through, but he's just running a retreat route as he gets knocked up, taken low. Will he go down? No, he survives. The ace in the hole onto Fanichan will be taken by Slowcube in the end. Riddle don't lose any members, but that fight went so badly wrong.
That was a pretty even fight.
No, it wasn't. I am here for optimism. Riddle do have tools for the late game. You've got Jinx, you've got the Orn, so Ornaments will start getting a little bit of gold back, allowing you to close this gold lead in theory, as the Super Mega Death Rocket will go wide onto Venza as he moves away. But I won't have this. That was an even fight.
Okay, and you are right. It is completely an utter domination so far from Dusty, and they're running around with Riddle. They're literally just using them as punching bags. And, they're not going easy on that punching bags. That is like picture of my... No, I'm not going to go there. But either way, Aatrox can now move up towards the top side, has that teleport available, which means that they can just set up a flank ward around a Drake instead. They're going to be sitting on Soul Point in less than 30 seconds.
Here's the plan. Here's the strategy. Riddle are going to give away Dragon Soul. They're going to coin flip Elder, win the Elder fight with Elder Dragon. They're going to then wipe Dusty, take Baron, and then take a tower. And then Dusty will probably fight back, kill the ball, and win the game. But
I don't like when you're just spoiling the game, like telling me how.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's
tension there. You're taking it away because it is still like you're not super tanky just yet. It's still squishy members, and it's still a LeBlanc. Thank you for demonstrating, Slowcube. That we are working with. Okay.
Oh, the FGG. Not a support this time around. Teleport's coming on through as Kex is trying to be that assassin that we talked about earlier on in the game. Let's see if Venza can survive as the rest of the fight goes completely the way of Viking and completely the way of Dusty. They're going to chase on forward and get another one as they look to push towards this mid lane. I mean, hell, could they go and try and get a Dancing Herald?
They might just try and go for it if they want to. My God, FGG is so good this series as well. We highlighted Aliv as well, but this man
Aliv still
has
MVP?
to get some praise. I mean, I'm a support main, FGG MVP so far with the championship. We're changing it up. And the thing is, he's been a driving factor in this game for sure, like really putting Venza in a good position as well, because behind every good AD carry, there is an even better support helping him walk around.
This is true, and I mean, FGG not looking like a support this time in the game. Look at the damage that he does.
I mean, that may be a cheap shot Lux to me. I'm really hoping it is, because that damage is just absurd. And FGG, it's finding picks like that, but it's also the peeling at the same time we're getting from him, even in the later stages of that little skirmish. So now Rift Herald, I think, got secured, by Aliv. Soul Point as well has been picked up. 4 minutes and 30 seconds until Soul. I mean, that might just even be out of the question. They might just be trying a beta fight around the Baron in just a small couple of minutes.
I was going to say that, because do you think that Dusty could brute force the Baron?
I think they can, but I think it's not so much about brute forcing, it's about finding the turn instead.
Okay.
I think with the amount of map control you can gain by basically pushing the mid lane turret or minion wave all the way up to the mid lane turret, which is at the inhibitor, you can take so much control of the enemy jungle, which I think is what Viking and the rest of Dusty will want to do now. You can see it now, clearing out deep vision. They have a wave on top side to play on as well. They just have so many possibilities. And even then, right, you can move down towards the bot side where Aliv will be current pressure in a bit.
He has to go gold, and a lot of abilities being thrown at him. The Lux will go down, not tanky enough to survive that one. As members moving forward, Dusty want to try and make this one a pick. They want to return at least one kill. Find it onto MC. Aliv in the backline, finds it onto Fanichan, as Backland's going to be in the backline looking for more. Finds Kex, gets the damage down as Aliv marauds forward. Could potentially look for another nuke splash the way. Will be able to get the snare down, and actually the assassination Slowcube gets the shutdown, but does go low, gets blown up. Fortunately, Aliv isn't there with the Rift Herald to drop, which could be massive for real chances of surviving for the time being.
Yeah, for the time being, and because it's so early into the game, death timers are so low. 10 seconds for Fatigen, 5 seconds for MC. So they'll probably just be able to pick up this mid lane turret, and then they'll have to back out of there. But that's still a naked inhibitor waiting for you to come and pick it up.
Let's have another look at this fight, because FGG gets caught out. Good. Everything else, Riddle, less so.
Oh yeah, but I think FGG getting caught here is a little bit of a blunder. You get to play around with so much pressure, given the shutdown over. Definitely not what you want. But even then, right, it's still Dusty being so far ahead to the point that Riddle can't win the exit fight.
Backlund just going in there, making sure the Kex goes down. And this is really, really nice. You've got to feel that Aleph survives here. They may well just go on to end the game with that Rift Herald. The wave would be looking to be brought in, but this time around, it's a respite for Riddle. Now you can see they're moving in, trying to set up around Baron again. It's a rinse and repeat because they're so far ahead, they can take plays that aren't so optimal. We're actually going to see the Rift Herald dropped in bot lane just to create some pressure.
And the game plan is still the same from Dusty. Push in mid lane. Potentially meet someone who's pushing in top. Take control of the enemy blue side jungle and just force them to come into you so you can take a fight. Because you're so far ahead, you really don't have to worry about taking a fight here as Dusty.
Teleport coming in behind, well not behind, but it's coming in to try and stop this slow Q's there. Kex, they're trying to force through this choke, but Aleph is there playing bodyguard and should be able to get nothing actually as the snipe's going to come on through from Nukes. Half health just from the ace in the hole, but Dusty do relinquish this Baron attempt, at least this time around, as slow Q trying to go toe-to-toe with Aleph. Rift Herald just farming bot, you know, getting that split push going.
The thing is, every time he last hits a minion, it counts as a last hit for Aleph. So, you know, you are getting some gold by this minion just being down there to Aleph himself. And as you said, it's the pressure. Someone will have to respond to Shelly. Like, no one wants to do it right now because they know as soon as someone shows down there, they'll start up the Baron, which is exactly what Dusty have done again.
I mean, no one's even shown down there as they're going to be starting out the Baron, get it to 8k, going to get the kill on to slow Q. That could be big enough for them to just turn on the objective, but they want more. They're baying for blood as Kex is forced to back away. MC looking to get through the other choke, but won't be able to find it as members of Dusty move forwards towards him. Shelly's just having a great old time on the split push. We'll be able to charge down into that tower finally as Baron's turned up for a third time in quick succession. The tower is secured on the bot side. The inhibitor laid bare as Dusty needs to be a little bit careful. Some members are going a bit low, but they're going to turn once again. This time though, Baron is kept running as Ritel's going to get the charge onto the inhibitor on the bottom of your screen as Baron goes low. Will they be able to secure this one? I think it should be pretty easy as MC comes on through. Can't get the snipe. It's going to be secured by Viking as MC loses his life. Kex is in retreat once more. Will be able to dodge away from FGG as the rest of Riddle need to find the escape this direction. The snipe comes through. It lands onto Nukes. Ace in the hole will also hit the Karma as Aleph is chasing on, looking for his position in the next round. Cuts down Nukes to find his way there as Backlund moves towards that bottom Nexus tower, which was charged by Shelly. No Dancing Herald, but you know what? This one is faster. Dusty, after 25 minutes, booked themselves a ticket to face Bifrost for that all-important place in not only the finals, but at European Masters.
And you know what? They might still be waiting a little bit. They still want the KDA. Fatty getting hit by the Dragon Rage, and it will be Dusty finally after padding the KDA, as you said, moving their way up to face Bifrost.
Very, very deserved. And we questioned
yes,
a little bit, saying, look, Dusty dominated Veneer. Domination. And we were like, hey, you know, Riddle, they beat Excel. That's pretty cool. This could be quite... No, it wasn't even at all.
No, by any means. And I think somebody came down to the drafting, somebody came down to the individual mistakes. And all in all, it was just not Riddle showing up today. It was, to me, it didn't feel like the same. But Dusty, they showed up and they had multiple game plans they could play through. Once the Jinx was taken away, well, here's a Caitlyn Lux and FGG, Aleph. So many members can be mentioned today that really just showed up from Dusty.
And I mean, something that I'm really, really happy about, that third game looked very different in terms of going onto the Rift. Those champions were different. The style needed to be different because they couldn't just play it like they saw from game 1 and from game 2. But they made it look very, very easy. Now it's actually faster and easier than their first 2 games. Everyone, don't go anywhere. We're not going to a break. We're going over this direction, there, as you can see, to the analyst desk, which isn't at their desk, which is very rude of them.
It's the analyst lounge.
It's the analyst
lounge.
We've been watching the LCK. We saw T1 and their undefeated.
We don't have a
streak.
carpet though.
We saw that like Dusty are clearly trying to replay that kind of idea. We've embraced it.
I'm mad with Dusty.
Before we start, can I just...
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to publicly dodge all of my predictions and apologize to any team so far that I've predicted them winning. Because so far I thought Gulbok was cursing my predictions, but it was me all along. I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm dodging all of them.
What have you done?
Oh.
What have you done? Look at him. Look at him. So proud.
I'm sorry. I'm
Oh.
sorry, Gulbok.
No, you're not.
I
you're
am a
not.
little bit.
Okay, we need to get on with the show, and it's a pleasure to have Nukes alongside with us to have the interview after this series of Dusty versus Riddle. Hello, Nukes. I know it's a tough situation to be in. It was a fast one as well. Really complicated to play versus Dusty today.
I mean, I would say that last week we just played exceptionally well, and I guess I almost like expected us to play the same, but we didn't. So it feels a bit weird. But at the same time, Dusty played better than JDXL.
We saw MC on his interview saying that you guys expected XL to already be in the finals, right? And possibly like X7 gatekeeping you from getting also to the finals. But you did manage to beat XL in a completely convincing fashion. What do you think changed between that performance versus XL and today?
I would say like one thing today it felt like not so energetic vibes, and for myself as well, I'm not sure how, but I wasn't like nervous or anything like that much. I was more like chilling, so I'm not even sure if that's a good or a bad thing. And maybe like I mean against JDXL we especially tried to pick bot lanes that get prio, but today like we just kind of lost all the lanes bot, and that didn't work out.
It was not the jungle alone, obviously. It was a lot going on in the map, and just as you told us, the energy was just not there. Is there anything you can point why that was the case, or just happened? And obviously, Dusty are a momentum team, so as soon as they got the momentum, it was really complicated to play against them, no?
Oh yeah, it was. Honestly, I don't know, like the energy thing. Last week, it's almost like sometimes it happens. It's really low chance that it happens, but sometimes it does. And today it's like average day.
Nukes, I don't have another question for you. I literally just want to say that you and Riddle have absolutely surprised us with your performance, especially the way you played against XL, and knowing that you guys have this in you as a team actually gets all of us. And I'm looking at a lot of NLC fans as well, fired up for summer. I just want to say massive congratulations for how far your team has come, and I cannot wait to see you in summer, guys.
Smash it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the interview, Nooks. We'll see you in summer and see what happens with this composition of Riddle that showed us so much. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was a
heartbreaking.
run.
It's
It is,
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
especially when you know that they were really confident before approaching this match. It was just not there. And Dusty, they were hungry.
They really were. And I think it was one of those ones where, again, I kind of called it in the pregame and said, look, it's actually quite difficult to work out how these teams are going to match up because it's a different level for both teams. And do they keep that level? What is that level relative to each other? And unfortunately today, like, we kind of said people like MC, that we're naming the main character, it kind of fell apart a little bit.
He became a side character.
Yeah,
to be fair.
he turned into Master Chief, right? Because the end of the series fell apart. My problems with that game, anyway. But like, there was kind of the issue where the strengths of Riddle were kind of being matched or bettered a little bit by Dusty today, and that made things quite difficult. And you heard the energy wasn't there; they weren't feeling it. And when we say they are a passion team, a momentum team, if that momentum ends up being stalled or they're just not feeling it, it kind of ends up a little bit like that.
I love what you said about the teams because I felt like both of these teams are very similar. We mentioned it at the start, like every single player sort of plays the same exact play style, and it was going to be on the mid-jungle duo. It wasn't because the rest of the map was falling apart for Riddle. I just want to say that I feel like Dusty showed up like a level above their opponents in every single lane. And honestly, if I'm Bifrost and I'm sitting in that position, like one game away from the finals, I would be sweating at this point because Dusty has gotten this far 3-0 everyone in their path.
Yeah, every single time they play in playoffs, they are just demolishing the enemy. And this is why I want to talk with someone today, Zen, the coach from Dusty. I already met him before. We talked about this. Now we finally get the chance to talk after the game versus Riddle. What is happening with you guys? You guys are just going mental.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I mean, my players are playing their hearts out. It is a wonderful thing to see. I mean, what else can I say? I'm enjoying watching these games. They're really fun to watch, and I'm sure they're very fun to play as well, for my players at least.
So, I mean, we've effectively just seen back-to-back 3-0s. Last game today, incredibly dominant. The game against the series against Veneer was equally as dominant in general. I guess beginning of the split, or even halfway through the split, did you expect that come playoffs, when things were actually in a little bit of doubt at some point in the split, you'd even make playoffs, that you'd be able to reach this kind of level? And how far do you think you can go? Where do you think the top end of this squad is now?
Well, I mean, at the very, very beginning, when we started practice, when we started playing together in scrims, we were playing really well. We were playing in some of the best teams in Europe at the time. Well, obviously, it was at the beginning of the split. And we were having good results. We played well. The games looked good. Bit shaky on some of the results, but in general, it was going really well off the beginning, so our expectations were really high. But then problems started happening very quickly once we started. I think we had like a couple of golden zone where we were playing really well, and then things just went downhill over there. Like there was a period of a few weeks where things were really down, things were just not working out, drafts were not working out, individual performance was not working out, mentality was going poorly. And once we lost a couple of games as well in the first week, win 0-3, and that really brings the team down. But we managed to persevere through it. It was really tough, and all credit to the players that we managed to get through it. And once we started picking up wins, we started picking up steam. People started feeling better. We figured out what we want to do as well a little bit more. We got a bit more flexible as well in terms of what we can play. And in the end, right, you see the results of all of that now in playoffs. And I do think that how we're playing right now, I think if we can improve maybe by just another 10-20%. I think we can easily contest for EU Masters. Obviously, it's going to be tough versus our next opponents, but I think we can do it.
Honestly, I'm really happy that you mentioned, like every team goes through downs, right? But it's how you manage to pick up, and if you pick up from there. And I think you guys have done fantastically to actually develop the team. And I'm going to sit on something that you said. It was like drafts were not working out. I just want to give props to you and obviously the entire team, because I feel like your drafting, guys, today was on freaking point. It felt like every time Riddle were trying to pull, an ace up the sleeve, you had the Uno reverse card in your hands. Can you give us like any insight behind your preparation specifically versus Riddle?
So specifically, I mean, we did a regular prep, right? We don't underestimate any of our opponents. We do preparation really extensively. It takes me a lot of time for all the scouting reports. But it's draft. It is a collaborative effort. All my players have their own ideas, what they like in draft, what they dislike in draft, and sometimes maybe it's a bit hard to put together what everybody wants into the same draft and have it be playable, have it be good. But everybody gives their input. Everybody spends a lot of time and energy, debating all the possible options that we can play for, and then in the end choosing one. And maybe we're not always all happy, all 5 players on the team, on what we're playing, but we at least get, I think, very solid drafts. But again, it is a collaborative effort. My players are doing a lot of work there to figure out, okay, what exactly do we want to do?
Thank you so much for that, Zen. And I wish and I hope the duo versus Bifrost will be longer than it was today. You guys are just demolishing, but it's going to be an interesting one nonetheless. So good luck for that one, and good preparation versus Bifrost. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the Dusty fans. Bye.
Yeah. And
I'm converted to a Dusty fan now.
Exactly.
I mean, I believe them.
I'm not converted to a Dusty fan.
The curse. The curse. No, not only you brought in a point, but also he brought a point that Viking confirmed. I had a big chat with Viking for more than an hour, where he told me a lot about the team that I will never share. I don't care what happens. Nobody will know about that conversation. But he brought in a lot of how the team is working together and how they feel as friends as well. And that is, you can see that, you can feel that in the Rift. They're playing as an entire team.
There is a level of coordination is a word, but I don't necessarily think that's quite the right term. But there's a level of like one-mindedness, being on exactly the same page at exactly the same time and going just that step before your opponents, that really hurt Riddle today, because they were there to the play earlier on, or were snapping on engages on front lines and blowing them up before Riddle could really react. And that kind of level of cohesion was really devastating.
I feel like it wasn't just the cohesion, that as well, because they did work as a one punch, right? But I felt like the adaptation
Yeah.
from the draft, like the Uno reverse every time on the draft, into the Rift, like the adaptation on spot, you know, Viking getting caught back to back in the early game on the second game, he turned it around straight away. They knew how to transition the game so they don't get any further behind it. I feel like having this quick thinking against teams like Bifrost and X7 is going to go a long way.
If they adapt so fast and you are doubting yourself, it's really hard to come back from that. But we should move forward, where we have the bracket. Oh, we're reaching the end. Bifrost versus Dusty is going to be the next matchup. It's going to be Wednesday. And then X7 versus, I don't know.
One of those two.
One of those two.
I mean, at the end of Bifrost X7, I was like, it'll be Bifrost in the finals. It's going to happen. That's the way it is.
But
honestly, after today, like, there is something to say for the fact that Dusty would kind of punishing what X7 and Bifrost want to do, which is like look to be aggressive, rapid skirmishes, like where you pick quicker than your opponent and you kind of blow them up. And it kind of actually went back and forth in that series with Bifrost and X7. Dusty were doing that to Riddle really, really well today. They were doing it off the mid jungle, the jungle plus everybody. It felt like.
No, well, I don't think
get worried.
I don't think that's what Riddle were Dusty were doing, because Dusty did not lose 2 or 3 games to anyone.
Well,
Dusty have 3 on anyone in their path.
Because they could do what they could kind of like punish what Bifrost were doing, right?
there's something that I would like to say that Vikings brought in the interview. It's on the video. The idea that if they didn't lose those first 2 weeks, where were they kind of shaky, they would be a top 1, top 2 team. And we're feeling this.
I kind of feel like what Zen told us, it's like, unless you fall down, you don't know if you can get back up.
Yeah.
Or how you adapt after you get back up. I feel like sometimes knowing things that have gone wrong, doing things that are wrong, and learning from them is a huge learning curve, especially for a team that has just formed and is playing together. And I feel like, as Zen said, like the development from that point onwards has been insane.
And like, it's all well and good winning early. The question then is, are you winning because other people haven't figured out your flaws yet, or because you don't have flaws? And I think Dusty figured out, look, here, actually pretty early on, look, we have actually got some relative flaws in the way we're playing. Like, support's not quite on time with our jungle, we're messing up some of our dives, lanes aren't going the way we want, etc., etc., etc. Like, they were talking about it earlier. The fact that you figured that early on and then come out with the strengths you already kind of were looking for when you built the roster is really good news. Whereas actually for someone like X7 or XL, they smashed it early. And then people kind of like leveled up, and then you kind of saw some of their flaws, and then they've only got 2 weeks to fix their issues rather than the whole split, right? And I think that potentially has stood Dusty in good stead coming into playoffs. I mean, it clearly has, because they've come in all cylinders going.
We have 2 examples of that. And I'm sorry to bring this in, but you have Dusty, who fell short at the beginning. And they were capable of rising to what we see now. And JDXL were at the top of the game. They tripped once, and they're gone. So I'm sorry to bring this up, but we have to do this. It's playoffs, so let's see what Dusty is capable of doing.
I cast XL's finals in EU Masters. It hurts me. Every time I see XL out of EU Masters, it hurts me.
Moving on now, we have the prices play of the day by MasterCard. That play that
Could it be from
decided-
Dusty?
Could it be?
I think it could be from Dusty.
Yeah.
So take a peek at what the production brought in for the prices play of the day.
Let's have a look.
What could it be?
Oh yes.
There's a Lux, so
no.
3rd game.
It is.
FGG and Jeopardy.
This is Aleph doing horrible things on Aatrox in a second. Yeah, like this poor Jinx. This poor Jinx. Goodbye.
No. It's illegal.
Yes.
Aatroxes
Yes.
in playoff series that matter just throws me back to 2018 and the Shy destroying European hopes and dreams.
Don't worry, the Shy is destroying his league
I
right
saw
now.
the
so-
0-7 Scion, don't start.
And not only did this show the Aatrox and the lead they built up, but the way that they are confident of their team. Aatrox was going to fall, obviously. He was going to die there by LeBlanc, but the rest of the team was like, we got you, bro. You may go to the ground, but we got you. At least we get you an assist. And there you go. This is the
They got,
Dusty
what,
effect.
2 kills? 3?
Yeah, way too much. Now, with this in mind, be careful what's going to happen on Wednesday. Bifrost versus Dusty. It's going to be the next series. Bifrost looked really mean versus X7. They almost took the throne away from the Kings, and they are now looking at Dusty. So momentum. Let's see what happens. But I'll see you soon at Wednesday. I hope you will be back with us. See you guys. It was a pleasure to have you with us today.
one.